Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Harbor Site. A all-American professional BMX rider with 16 X Game medals, 39 X Game competitions, 60 Drew Tour final appearances, numerous gold medals in the X Game, jumping and bike park events, and head coach USA BMX Freestyle team. And down here in Wilmington, he is a husband and father to 3, has his own gym, Amplify Ride Lift Flow in Porter's Neck, North Carolina. And the guy is just a madman. Welcome, Ryan Nyquist.
What up?
Yeah. Bro, you're like the OG.
One of them, maybe.
One of them, right? When did you start?
Started riding BMX. Well, I guess technically I started when I was 3.
3 years old.
Yeah, that's when I learned how to ride a bike.
That's how greatness. You hear that, parents? That's how greatness starts. Get them started young.
There you go. But yeah, I really started jumping and like learning tricks and things like that when I was around 11.
Okay.
Found like a dirt jumping spot that was, maybe 10 miles away, and it's funny because I had a bike. It was like a race bike. It was chrome. It was sweet. And then a group of kids were waiting at the bike rack. And I was like, oh, man, what's this all about? They were just around my bike. And I was like, oh, is this trouble? Like, what's going on? And they were just other kids that rode. And they saw the bike. And they're like, whose bike is this? Like, so they waited for me. And then
you can be part of our club.
Kind of. And then through that interaction, it was just like they were like, well, we know of a place that has like jumps. And I was like, I want to know about this place. So linked up with them, and they took me to my first like riding spot, which is Calabasas, and that was out in California. And just from that experience, like met more riders and more riders, and crashed, got up, tried it again, just went through the whole gambit, and just realized that I really enjoyed riding bikes and jumping. It was just one of those things that like completely just clicked naturally, but just a huge love for it. So
were you in the very first X Games?
No, I didn't get in the first or second one. So the first one was 95.
Right.
Second one, 96. And then I got in 97. And that was my first
How old
one.
were you at 97?
I had just graduated high school, so I was 18.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
wild ride.
Wild, man. So when I was young, it was just the time in the 90s, right? Like everybody was doing that. So I was completely into it. And I didn't grow up with my father. But he did give me I think it was either a birthday present or a Christmas present. I'll never forget this. It was the most badass. I think it was a Haro.
Okay.
Had, completely ready. Like it was like out of the store, ready to do tricks. Front pegs, back pegs, everything.
Just
completely
dialed in.
Yeah, dialed in.
Fully
loaded. Could spin, didn't have brakes on the front because so you could rotate it all the way around. And yeah, man, had that for a week and somebody stole it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man. It's still to this day breaks my heart.
Yeah, I could tell it hurts.
But it's funny you say that about the kids, because we literally had the same thing. It was like kids would find each other and you would create these little like bike gangs. And that's what we had down in Florida. I started riding, and I was, doing nothing like what you guys are doing, but we were emulating, trying to emulate what you guys were doing. Riding up walls and all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah. So it's funny, Haro, I ride for Haro. That's my sponsor.
Do you really?
I've been on Haro for, like 25 years.
No kidding.
It's been a long time sponsor.
Broke my heart, bro.
Yeah.
Broke my heart.
That was probably right when I had like a signature bike. Dave Muir had a signature bike, and those things were just, they couldn't keep in stock. They were selling like crazy. So those bikes were just like a hot item, especially around the X Games time, because X Games was just like a phenomenon. It was just like, it just put us in front of millions of people, like just on ESPN, and just grew and grew and grew. So like, I'm very fortunate to be involved in that growth, because I don't know where I'd be if it wasn't for that. I'd probably still be riding, but it might be like side hustle or just like a hobby on the side.
So in we were talking about this earlier, in 95, in 95 I was 13. Okay. So there was like, I couldn't watch this stuff, and there was no internet. You know what I mean? Like, this wasn't on the internet. And we were talking, a little bit before we started recording, was we would get the magazines, and it was like stills frame by frame of like how to do certain tricks or how to do certain things.
Yeah. Those magazines were, the shame is those all, I'd say probably the majority of those magazines are gone now.
Yeah.
They're all gone. Because I mean, like social media,
or they've gone digital.
Yeah, some of them tried digital and then or morphed into like Instagram accounts, basically. But yeah, like there's not a lot of print anymore. I think there's like one magazine that kind of made it through, and I think it's because it's the novelty. It's like, oh, the magazine, that's so sick. But
nobody's gonna go to that for that. Like we were going there, we were getting them for information.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, I mean, like it was either once a month or once every 2 months. The mag would come out, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, like this contest happened. This rider's getting like, like you would go through it and be like, that would be your daily like feeding of like, BMX or whatever, or that culture for a while, for the next month or two. Same with videos. Like videos came out and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see that video. And you'd pop the VHS in and you'd be like, watch it, and you'd watch it over and every day before you go ride.
So you were part of that generation where you had like the big shoulder cam VHS.
We never had one of those, but there were certain dads that did. And then when they came out to the trails or the jumps, like you were like, oh yeah, this is my chance. I'm gonna like just get like, on a VHS tape and just be like, okay, like, if you were really dialed in, you would put together like a sponsor me edit. Yeah. And then, make copies of it and put it. I never did that either. But I had friends that did like the full sponsor me edits and everything. And like, yeah.
Did it work?
I don't think it did.
Yeah. I can't imagine being on like that edge of something, right, to where you're in uncharted territory, man. Like you guys were just figuring things out. 100%.
Yeah, a lot of it was just like, that old school social media where you're just like, basically talking to people. But we drive from Northern California down to Southern California and go to contests and meet people down there, and occasionally you'd meet like someone that like owned a company or a clothing company or whatever, and you'd start making those connections. But really, compared to how it is now, like, like you tag people, you tag companies, you can send them like Instagram posts. I mean, it's just such a different day and age.
There's so much more opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, and it's changed our sport, like both like the progression of it and how people do business,
And you're how old now?
42.
And you're still doing it.
Still doing it.
That's wild, man.
It's awesome.
Do you feel like just in pain 24/7?
No, I feel really good. So my wife, I love her to death, but she basically told me, like, when you turn 40, your body changes. And I was like, yeah, right. Like I've been doing all this wild stuff, crashes and stuff, and I've never had that. And literally on my 40th birthday, I couldn't get out of bed. What? And I was like, this is bullshit. Like I was like, it doesn't happen like this. Not when you turn. I just had like this crazy thing happen, and there was a lead up to it. Like I was having like what I thought like was my lower back was just like blowing out. Yeah. Like I'd land hard on my bike and just be like, oh, and then like knock the air out of me. Or like I'd be going to put on my pads and like it was just like ping. Yeah. And I was like, what the heck, dude? But like on my 40th birthday, the morning of, I literally was like, I can't. I mean, I eventually did, but it was just like I couldn't move fast. And I was like, it doesn't work like that. You don't turn 40 and there's like a clock
switch that just, or something.
Yeah, just it doesn't work like that. But like I got in with a PT guy up in Porter's Neck, and he worked with me for like months. And what I thought it was like my psoas and hip flexors, because all BMXers from just pumping ramp all day long have problems
and kind of being in that.
Yeah, your 1 foot's forward. Yeah. I mean, it just puts you out of line. But I thought it was that because I was self-diagnosing, based upon what Google was telling me, and I went in there and the guy was like, no, your hip flexors are strong. This is actually your glutes. And so like just through this thing, he started like, dry needling glutes, dry needling shoulders, like just and went through it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was like the most amazing thing ever.
Relief.
Oh, and then like it was literally 2 days after I went in there for the first time, my back hadn't felt that good in like 10 years.
Did you do the dry needling with stem?
Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually. But like
that's pretty wild.
Yeah. So it's this place up in Porter's Neck. It's right next to our jam, Amplify, but this guy Andy, and he just like, I mean, he's a good dude. Like it's almost like social hour, and I get to go in there and see him. But he would make me sweat, dude. Like just I'd leave, like it was like a mark on the the table of just like where I was when he was dry needling me or dry needle with stem or whatever. But it was the most amazing thing ever because I literally hadn't felt that good in years. And then from that point on, now that's been a couple years now.
Yeah, when you get older, it takes a lot more work.
It does. Stay. And I think about it like, I'm like, okay, if I had started like stretching and paying attention to stuff when I was younger. Like,
Right.
would I be better off? Probably.
Probably.
But at the same time, it's hard to tell.
You'd be a little bit ahead of the curve anyway.
Yeah, maybe, created habits that would have been
Right.
good for me, when I'm 40 years old. But it's just so hard to think that way when your body feels good. It's like, well, why do I change?
I don't need to do anything.
Yeah, I feel great. I'm still flipping. I'm still So yeah, like now it's definitely it's a little bit more work, but honestly, I feel really good. Like every day I wake up and if I'm a little sore, I just stretch it out and I feel good.
That's awesome, man. That's crazy. I can't imagine doing that stuff. I mean, I mean, all the things that I've done now, and it's funny. It's, I don't hurt myself doing jiu-jitsu. I don't hurt myself jumping out of a plane or surfing or doing any of the other crazy things that rock climbing or whatever. You know what I hurt myself? Like stepping off of a curb.
Yeah, I was gonna say walking down the stairs.
Picking up a cup of coffee, like reaching for a cup of coffee or something. I pulled my back in grease.
Yeah.
A little like a little thimble full of coffee, and I'm gonna reach over and my back spasmed up, and I'm like, I'm on the floor for 2 days.
Yeah. That's how it happens. It's weird. It's not doing what you normally do. It's just like these little weird movements, and all of a sudden you're like, your back's
get up off the toilet. You're like, nope, I'm done.
Nope,
that was it.
I'm sitting here all day.
So Ryan, where are you originally from?
From California, a town called Los Gatos, which is just outside of San Jose.
So that's where you were born.
So the Bay Area, basically.
And then how'd you get over to this side?
1999, I was teammates with Dave Mira, and he was living in Greenville, North Carolina. And we were traveling together and stuff, and he basically was just like, dude, you should come out and hang out. And I was like, all right. So I did. And it seemed like a rad little town, like just small little college town. There's not much there. University, a hospital. And then basically he was like, hey, I'm buying a house if you want.
You were single at the time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just like, and, kind of ready for a change too, like ready for a change from what I was doing in California. So he hit me up, was like, I can rent your room. And I was like, done. So packed my stuff up and drove cross country. Got there like on my 20th birthday, I think, or 19th birthday.
So at that point, all you're doing is riding.
Yeah. So prior to that, I actually, my parents really wanted me to go to college, and so I got accepted to go to college for mechanical engineering. Was going through the motions of that, literally going through the motions, because I decided.
Well, that was my next question. Is like, okay, growing up in the Bay Area with your parents and everything you were doing, what was that like?
It was, for me, it was exciting, but it was completely unproven. Because X Games was only a thing for a couple years, even though I had a close riding friend that got like a gold medal in dirt jumping, Joey Garcia. Mm-hmm. And so like there was potential for something to happen, but it wasn't like the endorsements were there. It wasn't like there was like a way.
You were riding before then. So what were you doing prior to 95?
Yeah, just riding. They would drop me off at this place, Calabasas, and I'd have a 2 liter of Mountain Dew and some Skittles, and just literally that was all I needed. Like that was it. Like that and my bike, and hopefully didn't get a flat tire.
Back then, that was like one of the biggest sponsors of
that might have a little bit earlier than it. So, but yeah, like it was that's just what you did as a kid, right? You're like, well, I don't want to drink water when you could drink Pepsi, right? Yeah, whatever. But so that was it. Like that was just kind of my life. And then I was also involved in playing soccer. I love soccer. And so for me, I played all the way through high school, but in high school is when I kind of found BMX. And so I started doing this like really gradual shift of like soccer started going down, and I loved riding, and I had a great community of people that I loved with all the Bay Area. And I rode with them all the time, and just that love of BMX slowly took over soccer. And that's right around the time when I graduated, and
X Games were popping off.
got in my first X Games competition, and I think I got third. Which is wild.
Because that was like the grunge fringe sports back then. Mm-hmm. You were on the cutting edge of it. So how did your parents take their son doing this thing?
I don't think they didn't understand it, but they kind of saw like they would go to the competition and see the scale of what
it was bringing.
Kind of, the scale, like X Games was a big operation, right? Like you go there and they built a mountain, put artificial snow on it, right? So it wasn't just like some dude's backyard.
No, people saw the future. They were invested in some money.
So like I think there was a little bit of like, okay, and then like, prior to me turning 18, like I got sponsored by like Fox, so they've had to sign these deals and stuff, and they were kind of like, I don't know what's going on. They want me to sign this thing, so there was hesitation, but like,
and there was money on the table.
Sometimes, but like other times it was just agreements that I was going to use their product. Like, so it was really like, it was a weird beginning. And so I think for someone, my dad worked for the phone company for like, I don't even know how many years, and my mom was just hustling every which way, doing different jobs. So for them, it just seemed like kind of odd, it was like definitely not in their wheelhouse. So they were seeing things going on, but like the traditional way of doing it was definitely the surefire thing. Like go to school, get an education, get a degree, get a job, go that route. And that's what they wanted. So,
well, that's what the generation before us did. And
yeah.
My dad was the same way. He's like, go get a job, work 30 years, invest in your retirement, and then retire.
Yeah, exactly.
At 65.
Yeah. And like best intentions, they wanted me
of course.
to, have the best life ever. So that's the route that they wanted for me. And my mom was like very much like the driving force. She was like, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. So I was like, all right. So I applied for Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
You obviously did well in school. You were smart.
I got good grades. I enjoyed school. I loved it. I figured out early on that like as long as I did my work, I had a lot of freedom. So like I got my work done. I did everything I was supposed to do. Grades were on point. My parents they wanted good grades and they wanted me to be responsible. And so when I did all that, they gave me freedom. So like after that, I was able to go out. I could go to the skate park until junior, senior year, as long as my grades weren't falling. I was at the skate park in the middle of like East San Jose, which is not a great place to be, like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And then I come back, fall asleep, wake up the next morning. I realized at an early age that if I did what I was supposed to do, then
life was a little bit better.
It was easier, because then I could go ride, I could do this stuff. And then they started trusting me and, I had a car and so I could drive there and I could, I just felt like I hacked the system early, if you will. But it wasn't really even hacking. It was just like, so you want me to get good grades? I'll get good grades. So you want me to do this? I'll do that. And so then if I do that, I can do whatever I want after that?
Yeah.
Okay, like sweet. So I was able to ride a bunch. So yeah, I don't know. It was good, man. It was just I don't know. The BMX stuff just kind of snowballed quickly for me.
Yeah. How did they take the whole like not going to college, going to do this BMX thing?
That was a tough discussion. So my older brother went to the same university, and so I remember going over to his house and being like, I think I'm gonna drop out. And he was like,
oh, so you were already in?
I was in.
Oh.
I cut that off. So I didn't get accepted when I first applied, which was like for the fall semester.
But was that probably like, whew, I didn't get accepted. I'm
no,
out.
Because I was like, all right, like I don't know. Like I always felt like if I did something, I did it full on. So I was like, all right, like, and I honestly loved working with my hands. I loved math. I loved like building things. When I went to like the guidance counselor, they're like, oh, you should be a mechanical engineer. I was like, sounds great. It ticked all the boxes. So I was actually really interested in learning about mechanical engineering. So when I was going there, it was like, you don't actually get to take mechanical engineering classes until like year 2. So I was like going through GED, all this BS. And I was just like, this sucks, right? Like not interested. The only class that I took that I was interested in was sociology.
Okay.
Because it was just like this weird, like it opened my eyes to like, like how you can almost trick people or how people are tricked every single day.
Yeah.
And just like
the way you communicate.
Yeah, you can have a road with lines on it and you feel safe and you take the lines out and all of a sudden it's just like, oh, I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Like things like that. So that was super interesting to me. But everything else, I was like, I don't really. So I left. So sorry, I got accepted after I reapplied for summer.
Okay.
So I kind of went around and got in. But then because I was in for summer school or summer semester, I was able to stay in. So for summer semester, which was obviously right when like X Games and all that stuff was going on, I only enrolled for one class, which was bowling. Took bowling
because you needed to be
I needed to be enrolled in something,
and you needed the time to be able to.
Yeah, so I enrolled in bowling, got in, and then basically went to the teacher.
A class in college. Wow.
It was. There was a lot of weird classes, badminton.
It's California for you, I guess.
Yeah, but so I went to the instructor. And I was like, how much class can I miss? And he was like, you can miss this many days. Like it was like basically 2 weeks worth of classes. Yeah. And I was like, done. So I like literally didn't go to the first class. I went to X Games, did the whole X Games thing, came back.
What'd you get on that X Games? Is that your first one?
Yeah, that was the first one. I got third.
You got third your first X Games?
Yeah.
How the heck do you even get in back then?
Oh, that was a wild
now
story.
It's like social media and like
videos. Well, that's changed. That's changed a lot too. They used to have qualifiers and everything, but back then, I was doing well at these ramp contests. Like we called it street back then, but it's basically like park contests.
Yeah.
And the organizer was the same organizer for the X Games, and so I can't remember how he told me, but he's like, oh, you got a spot in the X Games for a park. And I was like, cool. And in my head, I was like, man, I don't really want to ride park. Like, I want to ride dirt because I grew up riding dirt. That's what I loved. So I kind of went to him. I was like, hey, like, thank you very much. Would there be any way I could like ride dirt too? And he was like, oh yeah, we'll throw you in there. No worries. Like, so like literally didn't have to show any kind of credentials, didn't have to show any contest placings. It was just like, we'll put you in, no problem.
But
so
because you were in park, he was just like, yeah, sure. Why
yeah.
not?
And I came from a background of jumping. So he knew that I could jump like a box jump or like a tabletop, but like, you know, I hadn't even entered any dirt comps back then. So it was just like, kind of like, yeah, I was like, oh, thanks. Like, you know, just kind of one of those moments of like, wow. So now I'm in the X Games for 2 events. This is sick. So yeah, so I went to, it was like in San Diego, went to that contest, got third, came back.
Would you get third in park or third
in
dirt? Third in dirt.
Yeah. So like, yeah.
So exactly what you wanted anyway.
Yeah, I think I got like 5th in park or something like that, and then 3rd in dirt. So came back with a medal, drove home. No, I think I flew home. I think I flew home from San Diego to San Luis Obispo, got all my stuff into the dorm. And at this point, you know, 2 weeks had gone by, so everybody knew each other. They'd been partying, they'd been hanging out. And they see this guy walking in with this huge bike bag and a big duffel bag. And they're like, oh, what's up? And I was like, oh, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, you visiting? I think my roommate at the time was this guy named Kyle. He's like, you visiting Kyle? I was like, oh, I'm actually his roommate. And they're like, oh, nice to meet you. And then, you know, I started getting, I was like, where are you coming from? I was like, oh, I was in San Diego. Oh, were you down there? I was like, went to the X Games. Like, oh, you went to them? I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, how was it? I was like, cool. And they're like, wait, were you in them? I was like, I was in them. And they're like, what events? And, you know, just started like, so instantly, like I had friends instantly because they were like, I saw you, like you tossed your wallet and crashed and did this. And they had been watching it. So it was like, oh my God, that's crazy. So I had like, you know, in a matter of seconds, like friends that, you know, like
almost
so I
fans. Almost fans.
Yeah, but I made up for that 2 weeks of not being there really quick. So, so yeah.
Rule number 1, always be cool.
Seriously. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, I'm like going off on tangents, but it's just like, you know, so anyways, going back to my parents, when I decided I didn't want to go to school anymore, my mom was really upset because she like just looked at it as like me throwing away an opportunity, right? I got into a good school, you know, was on the path and was just like going to throw it away. And so she was like, okay, if you're going to do this, you're going to live on your own. You're going to pay rent. You got to get your own insurance. Like it was like,
you were off the tip.
It was off, like boom, done. I was like, okay. And luckily I had some paying sponsors. So I was like, all right. So I started like budgeting, was just like, how much is health insurance? How much is rent?
Yeah, because you're going to have health insurance.
Yeah. And so I started doing, I was like, okay. I sat down. I was like, I could make this work. So I was like, all right. So like I paid rent at home for like a couple months. And then I found another place to live that was cheaper, like literally like a mile away. It was like not even a mile away, but it was like at a buddy's house.
Yeah.
And yeah. And my dad was kind of like, hey, listen, like your mom's really upset. You know, whatever you do, just do it. Do it 110%. Like, don't half-ass it. I was like, okay. So
I'm gonna full ass this thing.
100% ass. Yeah. But yeah, so like it was kind of a wild ride, but like, you know, amazing life lesson because it was like, okay, like if I'm gonna give up this awesome opportunity, you know, at college to get a degree and have a kick-ass job that I'm sure I would have enjoyed, you know, I gotta learn how to live on my own. So they taught me in like, you know, the tough love kind of way, but they taught me how to like budget and live and stuff. So it wasn't like the arms wide open, like, yes, we'll support you through this journey. But like, you know, eventually as things got better and progressed and stuff.
And you proved yourself.
And and eventually I moved to North Carolina and was able to buy a house out there and stuff. Like, I think they kind of like realized like, hey, like this is going good.
This is a career.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just some side weird thing.
Yeah. So it was a long road to get there. But like, you know, I mean, like I said, like in a traditional, you know, family, it's like, you know, throwing away a college tuition or whatever, or like that's a lot, you know? Yeah. So it was a big risk for me because, you know, for one, I didn't want to throw away something that was like awesome, like a college degree. And then two, like disappoint your parents. Like nobody wants to do that. So it was a bit of a gamble, you know, but I can honestly say it's paid off. Like I'm happy with the choice. I've done well in the career, you know, like done some awesome things that I don't think I'd ever be able to do if it wasn't for the bike. And yeah.
So going back, you're 18, 19 years old, you move out, you got a couple of paid sponsorships. Like back then, what were you making? You got third in the X Games. What were you really making a year?
Not much. Like that would have been
annually.
97.
Yeah.
I don't think I was making more than like 25,000 a year.
So you're just like a bike bum.
Yeah.
Just one thing to the next.
I was renting a room for $300 a month.
Right.
You know,
and you were getting to do what you love.
Eating. I mean, I would cook the massive amounts of just spaghetti, you know, and just drinking chocolate milk every night. You know, it was like, I didn't need much. Like I really didn't need much to survive, you know, and then gas for my car.
Youth is the best, man.
Oh, it was awesome. Like I had it so good. I really screwed up. I should have stayed there for a while.
So when did you feel like things were getting serious?
Probably when I had to pay my first tax bill.
Ouch.
Yeah, that was a rough one. I got that call and it was like thousands and thousands of dollars because I didn't have myself set up to make money.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so another learning lesson was like, so I have to pay a portion of this.
You're just doing things.
Yeah. So
you're like, wait a minute, you'll pay me to ride this bicycle?
Yeah. And I was getting paid as an independent contractor. So there was no taxes being taken out.
Yeah.
I was responsible for that. So like all of a sudden it was just like, by the way, that whole year of income you made, we're going to take our cut. And so that's when I kind of realized, I was like, dang. So I got to get incorporated. I got to do all this other stuff. And like,
oh, so you didn't even have like your own little business set up?
No, I was just rolling. Just like checks were coming in. Like, yeah,
put that shit in the bank.
Yeah, straight up. Like just like watching it stack, and it was just like, ouch. So I need to pay. I need to write a check for how much? So then, like, that's when I kind of knew I was like, okay, I need to get more serious about this. I mean, that's just the financial side, but like, really, once I started kind of traveling internationally, you know, like 98, 99, stuff started coming up where people were buying my tickets to go to like Japan, you know, like Europe. And it, you know, it just started snowballing. You know, X Games really started highlighting myself, you know, a couple of the key athletes and just really pushing us hard. So, and that made for more opportunities for sponsorships and stuff like that. And so kind of like the late 90s, early 2000s were really like just a wild time.
Speaking of a wild time, because I've talked to a couple of your counterparts in that X Games world in that specific time. So, and we don't have to say any names.
Okay.
But I've heard back in the 90s, like sponsor parties were out of control and that they were pushing athletes to go to these parties, do a bunch of drugs, and like basically show them off.
Yeah.
Which now doesn't really happen because everybody's a professional athlete. So it's like you're all.
I'm sure it still happens.
You think so?
I'm fairly sure it still happens.
So it was happening.
Yeah. And I mean, so for me personally, I never really. I might have been invited to like the pre-party of that where it was like the wild stuff didn't happen until after I left because I didn't drink until I was 23. So like I didn't do any drugs. It was just like I didn't do anything.
Really?
Yeah, until I was like, I didn't drink a drop of alcohol until I was 23, and then I had to smear it off ice, and it was just like the best thing ever.
We were just watching a wrestling show last night where they were drinking smeared off ice. Yeah.
Dude, they're so tasty.
That was the time, Zima. That was the time.
Yeah, they're
right?
tasty.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't get involved in that scene of it. I truly just wanted to ride my bike.
So you stayed away from all that craziness.
Yeah, I knew it was going on. You know, like I knew, like when people were rolling
hurt
like 3
or
names.
helped you?
I don't know. I think it helped.
Yeah.
Because for me, my goal was always to ride my bike and ride it great.
Yeah.
You know, so I never had like hangovers. You know, like I never like woke up in a haze. Like
I was talking to some of the guys that were in that generation on the snowboarding side, and they were like, man, they would like push cocaine on these parties and get us all those kids to do this stuff and act all crazy because they were showing us off.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but then we would be like jacked up and we have to recover, and then we would still do great. He's like, but now, man, it's like I'm drinking like my organic green tea and like
flip the switch.
Like completely the opposite direction of like how can I perform the best always?
I mean, honestly, it was we were living a pretty rock star life.
Yeah.
You know,
so that's what he was talking about, and he was basically saying but now he's like the competition is so great that you can't just go out there and be like doing drugs all the time.
Yeah.
He's like somebody's gonna come up beneath you that's super focused.
Yeah.
And like is taking it serious.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact of like, we talked a little bit about social media, but like there's eyes everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing and someone has a camera phone out or whatever, like gets it like posted, it's just like,
It's not the 90s
That kind
anymore.
of stuff is just crazy,
Yeah.
you know. Like and like I said, I never really got involved in that side of it. But 100%, you're right. Like there was wild stuff happening behind the scenes because I had like there's stories and all kinds of stuff that I heard about going down. It's just like, all right, man.
And you were able to stay away from it.
Yeah, because I just, like I said, I just wanted to ride my bike. That was the whole core of me, was just like, you know, I'm very competitive. Like, I love competing. I've always loved competing. I love the challenge of it. You know, like every single time you walk in there, it doesn't matter what you did last time. It's a clean slate. And I love that. So, like, for me, every time I went to a competition, I didn't want to waste it. Like, I wanted to kind of get a result. So, you know, going out and partying and stuff like that, like, I would go out, but I'd be like literally looking at my watch, be like, all right, it's 9 o'clock. I got to get to the course at like 7. Okay, well, I should probably go to bed. Like straight up, I was just like, you know, like the nerd of the party.
But you know what, though? That is, we were talking with Dr. Nadolsky. He's like, the most successful people are obsessed. Mm-hmm. They're obsessed with the thing that they do. Mm-hmm. And when you are so obsessed that like even people might talk bad about you, like, oh, you're a loser, you're not going to go party.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm going to go to bed because I care more about this thing that I want to do
than going partying.
Than partying with your and watching you be dumb.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is, it's fun. It's fun people watching when you're the sober one for sure. But yeah, no, I don't know. That was always my focus. I mean, then when I did start drinking, I was like, this is a lot of fun.
Did you get wild, or did you, was there a wild, did Ryan go through a wild spurt?
I just always liked to have fun. So I was never like an angry kind of drinker. It was always just like, the fun got ramped up, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just like, and all I ever did was drank, but it was just like, it was just a lot of fun. So like going out with the homies, you know, like your inhibitions kind of get a little bit looser and you're just out there having a good time. I just liked having fun. So I did have like my wild times of just going out and like, kind of like you said, like it hurts the next day. Like, you know, there was definitely times when like, you know, had to ride it, you know, like way less focused just because I was like, dude, I shouldn't have stayed out, you know, and half of it's like, you know, lack of sleep.
Oh, I have those stories too.
Yeah. But I mean, it was fun. Like, you know, I don't regret like kind of enjoying those moments, you know, not by any means, but yeah, just once I kind of realized like, okay, like I could let loose a little bit. Cause I was wound up tight, like very tight. My wife, we dated a couple times before we got married. And she would always tell you like there was like, you know, this one version of Ryan that was very serious, you know, that every once in a while would kind of let out this glimmer of like, you know, fun, but then we just like cut it off. Yeah, exactly. And then like
not allowed.
Yeah, like we call it round 1 and round 2. So round 1, I was very committed, very dedicated, you know, and then round 2 was like after I realized like, okay, I can be a little less like, you know,
regimented.
Yeah, like less stiff. It was just like I was able to loosen up, and then I was a lot more fun, and you know, just had good times and stuff. And that was kind of the point where I started finding a little bit more balance. You know, like I didn't have to be so strict. You know, like, and I was very strict on myself because I wanted to be at that level.
Were you harder on yourself?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there was one competition early on where like I was so mad at myself. I'd crashed in like a dirt jumping competition that like I'm sitting on the ground, and I just like smacked the ground, like just punched as hard as I could. Instantly knew I broke my hand. You know, it was just like, oh, I did it. Oh my God. And it was just like, why'd I do that? You know, but it was just like so mad at myself, you know, that I was just like, all right, like I'm gonna punch the ground. Another time, and this sounds so stupid, but like I had messed up in a dirt run, and I was so angry. And I was still in mid dirt run. I was so angry at myself for messing up that like I was like committed to like punishing myself. It's gonna sound super crazy, but I just went off the last set and did this. It's called a nothing. You take hands and feet off. Yeah. And then you get back on. And then I'd done like nothing we called a bar spin. You throw the bars around and catch it. Yeah. I'd done that a bunch of times, but I was like, I'm going to throw a double. And if I crash, I deserve it. And so I just went up and went, whew, but I pulled it. So it kind of ended up like.
Did it pay off in the end of that race? Did you recover for that? Did I help you recover?
I don't think the run was as good as I wanted, but it kind of made it a little bit lighter because I was just like, all right, well, that was pretty cool.
I just did something pretty badass.
I never thought I was ever going to do that. For some reason, I was like going through this weird, like, I'm going to punish myself because I messed up. But like, I was super hard on myself, very hard on myself, you know. But I think that also helped me push to a level that I, you know, wanted to achieve, you know, because I demanded like excellence for myself.
Excellent, man. So now going back, and now you're a father of 3. Mm-hmm. Does this give you, these experiences, does this give you a different experience with how your kids are going to be, or how you're going to communicate this stuff to your kids?
Yeah.
Or has it even showed its face already?
No, it showed early on. I just, so we just talked about how like regimented I was and like, strict and stuff like that. And like, I am kind of the opposite with them. Like I want them to find something that they're passionate about on their own. Like I don't want, people when I started having kids, it was just like, oh, I bet you can't wait to get them in the skate park, huh? And I was like, actually, if they didn't want to ride bikes, I'd probably be relieved because I spent the majority of my life in a skate park already. Like I'd be okay with doing something different, you know?
Right.
Kind of saying it jokingly, but like, it was just like, okay, like I just want them to find something that they love because I don't want them to feel pressure to be like me.
What if they go the opposite and go all corporate?
That's fine.
Like you're all like.
I mean, honestly, like
your parents' plan. They just pull the dust off your parents' plan and go.
Like to me, like so. Thinking back, if I gone corporate world and was that committed to succeeding, I mean, where would I be? Like I would like to think that with, the enthusiasm and the passion that I had for BMX, if I transferred that into something else, like I don't know, like would I have my own company right now? Who knows? But like, so
either that or really miserable.
One or the other. I mean, if I was stagnant, for sure. But that's the thing is like, if they find something that they're passionate about and it is corporate and they want to excel in that, like I'm all for it. I had a buddy that I grew up riding with, this guy Cam Birdwell, that was an amazing rider. He and I was like, we would go head to head at the trails. Like, and he was actually a lot better than me. Like he had a lot of like amazing tricks that I just couldn't do. So we'd have these like little unspoken competitions at the trails, and he would smoke me every time. And I was just like, dude, I got to learn these tricks so I can just like get the upper hand. Well, he ended up going through a lot of hard times, but he was always able to work on computers and he understood them. Well, now he's like really high up at Apple.
No kidding.
Really high up at Apple, where he's like making like, I don't even know what he's doing. I think he's like working black ops at Apple, where he knows what's coming down the pipeline, but he's became passionate about that. And so then he just dove in and stuff. So that's what I mean. Like if my kids were like, I'm really passionate about being an accountant, I'd have been like, yeah, tell me why. I'd want to learn about it so I could support them. But I'd want them to be like, I want to be an accountant. I want to be the best accountant in the world. Like, okay, well, as a dad, let me figure out how to help you do that. Like if that's what you're passionate about, like
that's our role, right? That's our role as fathers to do that.
Yeah. And I truly believe that like this world would be a so much better place if people like just followed their passions. Yeah. Like whether it's a career move or if they're just like on the sideline.
We talk a lot about passion but we also kind of frame it into purpose, because I think that once you find your passion, that becomes your purpose. And when you're purpose driven, you're much more healthier of a person than someone who's pleasure driven. We've talked about this on the podcast before. But if you're just chasing like pleasure, it's like you're like a bottomless sinkhole of suck. Yeah. But as soon as you figure out that purpose, that passion, I mean, it's just now you're just fulfilled every single day. Yeah. So what are they showing? Are they showing interest in anything now?
So my oldest he'll be 13 soon. He's always really been interested in like animals, science, video games. Obviously, most kids are. And so is
it BMX video games?
No. It's like Minecraft, like all the
typical stuff.
Yeah, typical stuff. But like, for him, it's like he's never really been in team sports. So like, and he's not the one to even ask to do anything. He's just like kind of like loves being out in nature, and so he's been like kind of the hardest one to like really get involved in stuff. Like we were talking earlier, I got him signed up for BJJ. It's just like, and he seems to like that. So I'm like, all right, cool. And that's like be outside of like rock climbing. That's like the first really physical thing he's been like, I really like this. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll keep him Brazilian jiu-jitsu
all
for you.
All kids should do jiu-jitsu. That's my point. But.
Yeah. And then my middle son, he's actually really into like bikes, scooter, skateboard, soccer, wakeboard. Like he's kind of like the more athletic of all of them. He like just wants to try it all. Is he more like you? He's a ginger. So in that sense, he's more like me. But it's weird. Like, I mean, all our kids are like all over the place. Yeah. And my wife and I are opposites. So really? Like we always joke like when something bad happens, like that's you. But like yeah. So it's hard to say because looks wise, he kind of looks like me, but also like his aunt. Like I feel like they look very similar. But I think like his drive is very similar to mine. Like he's very competitive also. He's basically vocalized that. He's like, Dad, I'm very competitive.
He said that.
Yeah,
How old is
straight
he?
up. He's 10.
10 years old and just said, I'm competitive.
I'm very competitive. I was like,
Yeah,
I
that's-
was like, I didn't know that. He's like, yeah, you didn't know that? I was like, I didn't know that. I was like, he's like, yeah, I like competing. I was like, all right.
Wow.
So it's like, like that came from him. And I'm like, all right then, so it's like
there's a fight brewing in him on the inside. He's
yeah.
ready.
And he gets frustrated, so I think probably between my wife and I, he's probably closer to me. And then our youngest, he's 6, and I mean, he's hilarious. He is athletic, like he loves playing soccer, basketball. He hasn't really taken to the bike stuff, but like he's shown like a little bit of interest in it, but like he loves riding on the motorcycle with me. So if we have like go a little dirt bike, a little 110 and just zoom around the yard, he loves that. So like it's been like a super eclectic mix. So like Saturdays, going out and doing one thing where everybody's happy.
Ain't happening.
I don't know. I mean, like we can go to the bouncy house. Seems like that's the only thing we can do where everybody's like stoked. But like other than that, it's like it's really hard to find stuff. Like I go to the skate park and like
It's impossible. I mean, I've got 3.
Yeah.
And I can't. I mean, one, they're 2 teenage girls. So that's a
whole different ballgame.
That's
right
a whole
there.
different ball game. And then now we've got a 15-month old,
Yeah,
15-month-old Ginger as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I can't make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Try. I do try.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'm
all you
usually-
can do, really.
And I'm usually let down because I can't. But
Just trying to get them all in the same room and
that's usually that. I mean, if I can get them in the same room, that's amazing.
carving pumpkins. We did that last weekend, and that happened. Like everybody was together,
There
and
you
I was
go.
like, "Wow,
Yeah.
we did this."
Just find different fruit to carve.
I just
like,
sat
every
there and
weekend.
watched. I was like, wow, yeah. We're doing gourds today.
Yeah. We're carving apples.
That's awesome, man. Well, I will be actually helping your oldest in jiu-jitsu because he's going to the teens class soon, right?
Yeah. So we did the free trial over there at Crest, and it was awesome. He loved it, which was
It's a good group of kids.
man, it really is. Like, and I was actually I kind of wanted to try it myself, but like I got a lot of injuries that I feel like I was watching some of the body positions. No, I don't have an ACL.
You would be you would be fit right in. Everybody there. It
Really?
was funny. Yeah. Sickles was one of the other coaches. He was like, where he was going to demonstrate something. And he asked me, he's like, is your back hurt? I'm like, and all the parents were there. And I was like, of course my back is hurt. And all the parents on the thing started laughing. I'm like, that doesn't change that we can do what we're going to do. But yeah, it's hurt.
Oh, I got excited personally because I was like, that looks like fun.
It's
like
fun,
just
man.
wrestling and stuff and just like grappling. It just looked awesome. But I was like, the first thing in my head was like, oh man, I got into a headlock one time messing around and it like took me out of competition because I had like a herniated disc or something. I don't know.
That's
So
why you tap though. Like as soon as you start
No,
feeling
but-
something, it's like
I know, but
it's
I
out.
didn't feel it until afterwards. That was the thing.
Oh,
And I got a fairly decent high pain threshold to where like
that's the ginger thing.
yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so anyways, long story short, I was pumped up on just watching. I was like getting excited to go in there and try it, but like my oldest was like, I really like this.
Yeah.
So like I'm excited for that because I feel like that's just like a healthy outlet for him, to go out and get aggression out, but also like learn how to like handle yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it also is like there's a confidence part to it too. Is like when you start to, and I guess it's with any martial arts, right? When a kid gets into martial arts, a good one, not like Aikido or something weird, McDojo life stuff.
I don't know any of this stuff, so
Yeah, so
I'll just nod. Be like, yeah.
So when I get something like jiu-jitsu, right, or an MMA style, or boxing, or Muay Thai, they don't necessarily have to use it because they find themselves, even with adults, you find yourself more confident in a situation.
I can see that.
So it's like an altercation happens. You're not really nervous or not like what you were talking about. Like, I feel like something bad's going to happen or I feel like somebody's going to attack me. You're more controlled. Like, I can control this situation, so I'm not super nervous, so you're just more confident.
Like studying for a test.
Right. Kind of. Yeah. So injuries.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a really bad deliberate? I looked for it. I couldn't find anything.
Yeah. No, I hide that stuff.
No. You can't let people know.
No, I had like the knee was a big one.
What happened?
I
Was that the biggest one? Other than you punching the ground and breaking your hand?
No,
That's like dumb boy stuff. I've done that too.
I was just stupid. No, it was one of the biggest ones. So like I tore my ACL at XGames one year, and it was just I felt like it was already injured because I had a crash maybe a couple months before.
Well, typically with those, that's what it's already kind of damaged.
Yeah, so
and it's just waiting for it to pop.
Yeah, and like I had it checked out, and they're like, no, it's good, and I was like, all right, but I just felt like something was going, and then literally just put my leg out and just real quick, and then all of a sudden it was just like that burning pain in the back of the knee. If you guys, nobody's ever felt that, try to keep it that way because it sucks. But then I was like, all right, and then I ended up riding with it torn for the rest of the season.
Wow.
And it worked out fine. Like it was like it hurt for like 10 minutes after I tore it, and then I was able to walk on it, and it was just wobbly, and but I was able to wear a brace and just compete, and I competed through the rest of the year, and then I got surgery, and then I rushed through everything. I didn't really do any kind of like proper like rehab.
How old were you?
22. Maybe?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, but again, it felt good. Like I got range of motion on this thing.
Yeah,
I was like,
of
you know,
course.
and I did a bunch of prehab. So like I strengthened that leg up a lot.
Yeah.
So it would like shrink back to normal size. So after the surgery, I was like, I feel good. So
Yeah.
as soon as I got full range of motion, I was asking the doctor, can I ride? He's like, man, you shouldn't. But if you just ride like you're a professional, if you just stay like, keep it chill, but ride. He's like, that could actually be pretty good rehab, but just don't put a leg out or anything like that. And then, so at 5 weeks, I started riding, which was, you know, insane because of all the other stories I've heard of like any other torn ACL injury. It's like, no, you're out for like months. I was at 5 weeks just cruising around the skate park and stuff. And then
20 is what happens when you're 22, man.
yeah. And then, I put my leg out.
So
like
no big crashes or anything?
During that time?
Or just in
Oh,
general?
just
in your
general?
career?
No. So then the ACL thing, I tore it again, and then I never got it fixed. So I still don't have an ACL.
Okay.
So I just wear a brace and try to keep my leg strong. I crashed at another contest and basically inadvertently put my fist into the ground and then all my weight on top of it. So this hand, like I broke these two, and it like actually compounded. So I was like, all right. So, you know, got surgery on that. This is a wild one, dude. Got surgery on this one.
Was this all before social media and stuff?
No, this was kind of the beginning. No, social media was around.
It was.
I posted a couple things about it. We'd have to dig pretty deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a video I did with it. So I'll get to that. So I broke these two bones. They went in there, put 2 plates in, and they're like, all right, you're good. So I was like, sweet. So I started doing rehab for it. And then apparently I make scar tissue like nobody's other business. It's just like I started just scarring up on the inside, and it started holding onto my tendon.
Yeah,
and I couldn't.
Mine did that. Look at that. It like pulls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I it's like mine. I couldn't even do that
Because
And
it was so tight. Yeah.
So I was working with a hand therapist or whatever, and I was like, I need to get this thing worked on again. Like I need to have them go in there, and she's like, if you just give it like time. And I was like, how much time? Like I don't have time. You know, it's like I got to get back out there. You know, I was just like, no, let's.
And
just
she
get
was wanting to probably scrape it and do all kinds of work.
She was gonna,
Yeah.
and I should have gone that route because eventually, fast forward the story, it took 7 months. I had another surgery done where they had to open up the scar all the way up to my knuckle and pick out all the stuff. Then that healed up partially, and then through that they were like, okay, just keep making a fist. Well, I was making a fist like I was getting ready to hit someone, and then the scar eventually started opening up.
Oh man.
But it wasn't open. I just all of a sudden started seeing my tendon gliding, and I was like, what is that? And then that scar tissue like had been separated, and then there was just like this really thin one like sheet of skin, and it was a window, and you could literally see inside my knuckle, and you could see the tendon
What?
gliding. Well, eventually that opened up, and then I had a hole the size of like maybe just shy of a dime above my knuckle, and you could just see it gliding. And the surgeon was like, it's
was
fine.
it like oozing or bleeding or?
It would ooze a little bit, but I had, so
like
the doctors,
like plasma's leaking out.
yeah,
and stuff?
I mean, it was like, you could literally just see a tendon. Like, it was just like, this is crazy.
Gross.
Yeah. And so, the doctor was like, put gauze in there. It'll just
Yeah, you
grow,
gotta
it'll just
stuff it.
grow over it.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not going to happen. So I had to go back in and get another surgery, but now it's like, I can't even, it won't even go past here.
Damn.
So like, I can kind of hold on the bike like that, but like, I can't make a fist. So it's like, that's where it goes.
And all you had to do was just have some patience and
Just
go the right
patience.
way.
And it probably took way longer to go through 2 other surgeries, and I probably would have had a fully
But
functional
you were like,
hand.
no, we have to do this
I was like,
now.
I'm riding my bike real soon. Just more surgeries, please. Like, yeah, I just impatient, man. I had a good friend a long time ago give me the advice with injuries that you got to go slow if you want to go fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, what do we used to say? Smooth is fast, fast is smooth.
Smooth is fast, fast is smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay smooth. Go
Yeah.
slow. Yeah, man. Wild. No
There it
concussions
is
or anything?
right there. Woo!
Yeah, there it is.
That's you?
That's my hand.
What?
So yeah, so a couple of those
You
surgeries.
look like a Terminator.
I know,
It's
I
like
know.
a Terminator hand.
So a couple of those surgeries I was wide awake for because they wanted to make sure that they got all the scar tissue out. So they had me bend my or make a fist, and that was one of them. And so I asked the doctor to take.
So what are we looking
photo.
at? What is that? Right
That
there?
is my hand, the top of my hand, and that is they just splayed it open, and that's the hardware they have in there to kind of like make sure the bones, to reconnect the bones.
So those they look like your bones
Those are actually the plates.
that are on top of your bones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's all that good, like what you're talking about carving a pumpkin. That's that stuff inside the pumpkin.
Yeah. The juice.
Yeah, just like the strings. That's it. But yeah, so like that was a long process. And then yeah, there's a video.
So that's probably your worst one then.
That by far was my worst one, just because of the amount of time it took me to get back on the bike. I was out for like 8 months. So
Wow.
yeah.
So what is this on right here? What?
This was like a little video we did, just kind of talking about the injury and doing like a bike build, because it was like right at the end of it where I was starting to get back.
But you know what this website is? Vital BMX.
Oh, Vital BMX, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so like it was just like a big ordeal. Like it just took forever and ever to get back on the bike. But yeah,
What would you tell people now?
take your time.
Just no rush.
Take your time. Do the PT. Do it all.
Do the work.
Let the experts do their thing.
So concussions?
Yeah, I had concussions. Not frequent enough to really affect anything. Like I haven't had any kind of like CTE kind of like symptoms, So fortunate about that. But like also I don't know. I look at what football players do and all that stuff, and the CTE thing, I'm sure, it's never been good to hit your head. That's always been a fact.
I've dealt with it myself.
Yeah.
Being in the military, I went to a 2-week inpatient brain clinic.
Yeah.
When I got out, I was just thinking, like, I'm looking at all the stuff that you guys do. And I'm like, how the fuck do they not like?
You're
just really good.
Yeah, like honestly, like one of the things that I've learned is one of my best skills is learning how to crash. You learn how to crash, man. Like you learn to keep your head up. You learn to get your hand out. You learn that when you're in midair, you have choices and you got to make the best choice to get out of that situation. And I'm proud to say I'm really good at crashing.
You're a really good crasher.
I am really good at crashing. I am really good. But honestly, like I'm not even ashamed of it. Like I'm okay with taking crashes at 42 years old because I know how to do it. And I know I can get back up. Like I had a competition in Houston last weekend and I ate shit.
Yeah.
And I was okay. And I had people like 20-year-olds be like, how did you get out of that? And I was like, I just kind of did this and reacted like in a split second because I knew how to react. So I've also known a lot of riders that never crashed. And when they go down with the ship, they go hard.
How do you learn how to, obviously there's riders that don't know how to crash and you do. So is it something that you taught yourself, something you learned?
Yeah, you learn by crashing.
You learn
Yeah. You pay attention.
Wake up.
Yeah, no, it's, like a lot of times, honestly, like I don't personally get a lot of head hits.
Okay.
I tend to get like, hips, like I land on my hips and get like kind of, we call them hippers and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just like that kind of stuff, a lot, but like really it's just like, it's knowing when to like, get out of the situation or like trying not to hold on to the trick and see if you can land. It's just like, I'm very okay with crashing, like in my way of crashing, as opposed to holding on and then letting kind of physics take over and I'm just like along for the ride, So I'm okay with that, and I'm at a stage in my career where I'm like, if I crash in a contest and like I'd rather walk away and be able to do another one or be able to coach or whatever. So, I have my kind of, my scale of what's okay and what's not to hold on to, but, really it's just, being aware of what's going on around you, and that's another reason why I feel like, my reaction times and all that stuff, I still can get out of things really well, even though I've had like a couple of head hits and stuff like that here and there, but I still feel good But like, yeah, crashing, man, it's a
You're
good skill to have.
Professional crasher.
I'm pretty damn good at it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty damn good.
I'm at the professional level of of crashing.
Yeah.
So how does your wife feel about? I'm gonna ask you guys how you met, but how does she feel about you doing what you do now?
I think she'd be okay with me not doing it
Really?
anymore. Yeah, I mean, I think, to be totally honest, I think she was like really excited when the coaching thing came up. Coaching Team USA, because I think that
Where are they at?
The team is all over the place. There's
Okay.
a couple located, one in Jacksonville, one in Wilmington, one in Holly Springs, Ohio, California, Florida. So we're spread out.
So that's why you're traveling. You're traveling a lot with them.
Yeah, for the team stuff, and then we have like a facility in Chula Vista, like the Olympic training facility.
Cholo Vista.
Chula Vista.
Yeah, I went to free fall out there.
Okay.
At Otay Lakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stayed in Chula Vista. It was a great place.
Yeah.
It's not.
Nope. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing else going on out there. But yeah, so like we're coaching thing, when that came up, I think she was like, okay, like sweet. So you're not going to compete much anymore and stuff, but I still do. I just, I kind of choose my battles.
Okay.
If there's something I'm really like excited about, then yeah, I might go in on it, and just like kind of, whether it's prove myself or prove to other people that like I can still do it. Cause that's the thing with BMX. It's like, it's such a deemed like a young man sport that like, even when I took the coaching gig, people were like, oh, he retired. And
You're like, no.
I was like, I didn't make any kind of announcement. Like, I still want to compete. Like, I still love it. I really, truly still love it. It's just like nowadays, it's like I have to be smart about it. So yeah, there's some competitions like, where I'm like, yeah, I'm all in.
Are you done with the old X Games things?
Yeah. Well, so the X Games has changed throughout the years, and I mean, it's become like invite only, and I have no idea on what it's based on. Social media, like if I made like a get an invite to X Games campaign on my Instagram, I might be in there. It's really like kind of like interesting how it's run. So I, if I go to one, cool. If not, like I've had a good run with those. But really, like lately, it's been like I go to the Olympic qualifier events, internationally and stuff, and then I like to ride those courses. They're amazing courses. Just have fun, because really I'm a lot lower stress there because I'm not trying to get results. Like I'm just trying to have a good time. So my runs are a lot different now, But like I said, if there's a contest that pops up where I don't have to be coaching that, I can go all in. Like I had one a couple weeks ago and I got second with like the pros, and I was like, all right, sweet.
I'm still there.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Feels good on that podium.
So that's what I was going to ask. Like, so, you're 42 and doing this. What's the youth look like that are doing this now?
Very talented.
Yeah.
But very young.
Do you think it's like because of the times, like they just became better?
It's weird. It's a different style. It's a completely different style of riding that we're seeing nowadays than we did back then, and I think the interesting thing is, like, I don't know if you ever follow trends, but like trends repeat themselves.
Oh, of course.
And so my riding, I've been around for a long time, and like my riding, I always tried to take a path that was different than what most people did. And because it was different, it still kind of stands out today because it is different. And it's some of the stuff I do is like, I still feel like incredibly hard, and so, because the modern day riding style is completely different from what I'm doing. It's like, okay, well now I can do something out there, and it's like, it's valid because it's unique, and, we celebrate, creativity. So a lot of the stuff I do is still really creative. But the youth is like doing incredible stuff, like just amazing things. And that's like really fun to watch because they're pushing the sport in a certain direction. That's just, it's like, I don't know, just like going upside down and flinging the bike around 3 times or 4 times and, or spinning like 1080s or even more. I mean, it's just like, there's a lot of really cool stuff happening in the sport, and I'm still a big fan. So it's like really exciting for me just to watch it go down. Like when I'm coaching, I'm just like, dang.
Does it kind of get you to like push to even become better than you are already, or kind of like that's for them, and I'm an old guy now, and
yeah, some of the stuff I draw from, I can draw inspiration from. Other stuff I just know it's not for me. Like there's a trick called a tail up where you kick the back end around and you hop back on.
Yeah,
I've never really enjoyed them, and that's like a big trend in our sport is just like a lot of tail ups. And so for me, I'm like, I like watching it. I just know for a fact that's not for me. And so I have no problem letting everybody else progress that and push that. But there are some stuff where I'm like, that's cool. Like I would love to either learn that or like put my own little twist on it. So still drawing inspiration on things, but really, for me, when I go out on a daily basis and ride, like I'm just kind of searching for that feel good feeling, and I have certain tricks that I do that fortunate enough to where people still enjoy it and they make me feel awesome.
You're out there flowing on the track.
Man, it feels a lot more flowy than it used to. I mean, like, some of those runs I used to do back in the day were just like all out war, like you were just charging it, you land low, you just started pedaling and just, you keep that momentum going. It was like by any means you got that run done. And now it's like, I tend to look at things like I'd love to land smooth, and just like keep that speed up. And maybe I'm not doing the hardest tricks out there, but like I want to make it look good and flowy and just, do my style tricks with it.
I think it has to be experience. It has to be something that comes with experience and age.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah. So how did you meet your wife?
Met her in Greenville, North Carolina. She was going to ECU.
How long ago?
Oh man, this was 2002, I think.
Oh, so you guys have been together.
Yeah, well, remember we had 2 rounds, so I broke up with her. I broke up with her. But yeah. The women love hearing that story. They're like, you broke up with her? So anyways, started dating in 2002.
Because you were dumb, right? That's what
totally dumb.
Totally
dumbest
idiot.
dude on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was working at McAllister's Deli. And that was like a place.
Great muffaletta sandwich, by the way.
Man, I'm all about those spuds.
Yeah.
The spuds are nonstop. But yeah, so like went in there. We would go in there all the time. So it's weird that I didn't ever see her. And she swears that she remembers me from a time before. I'm like, okay, that's fine, whatever. I don't remember you. But that day we stood in her line, and it was just like weird because we started catching eyes even before I got to the counter, and I know now that she has like a nervous kind of smile laugh. When she gets nervous, she like laughs.
Okay.
Doesn't matter the situation, she just does it.
And she knew who you were.
Nope.
You were.
No, no idea. No idea. So I think I was making her nervous. So she started smiling, and I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" Like smile back, and then that smile grew, and then like she's literally still trying to help people in front of me, and then we started laughing, and I'm like, "All right, this is weird. Like I don't usually vibe with people like this. This is cool." So I finally get
getting somewhere.
Yeah. So I finally get up to the counter, and she's like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, do I know you?" Like just quick conversation. I don't think so. Okay, cool. All right. I place my order. And I'm like, all right. So then my buddies are behind me and they're like, you should go ask her out. I was like, yeah, I think I will. So I go, after I get my food, I go back up there and McAllister's has these giant cookies. Like they're awesome. So I was like, I'm going to go get a cookie. That's my excuse to stand in line. Yeah, right. I'm going to order a cookie. So I stand in line and she sees me. And so I'm like getting close to the front and then she subs out with someone. So someone goes and takes her register. I was like, shit. All right. So at this point, I'm like, I gotta wait in line, so
I can't bail now.
Yeah, I don't want to make it awkward, like I was stalking you or something. So I buy the cookie, and I'm like, all right. But she's like in this little area for to-go orders, and like there's like a little bamboo shade. So I know she's back there. So I was like, all right, let's do this. So I pick it. I was like, hey. She's like, oh, hey. And I was like, hey, sorry, I don't know if you're dating or see anybody, but like I'd love to take you out sometime. She goes, oh, okay. So get her number, call her a couple nights later.
You hear that, kids? The old school way.
Yeah.
You just ask.
Just ask.
Straight up.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
With your voice.
With your voice.
Yeah,
not your thumbs.
Don't type in your phone and turn her, have her read it, But yeah, so like it took her out to like a wild BMX party. We had like a fire, and eventually there was aerosol cans in the fire and a bow and arrow shooting the aerosol cans, and there ended up being a couch in the fire, and I was like, we should get out of here. So
I swear this is not my life all the time.
But it was. But I was like, you're not ready for this. I don't want to scare you away. You seem like a nice girl. And we dated for a while. And so then I broke up with her for like 3 years. And then we got back together and got married. And at our wedding, this is a cool...
Whoa.
Well,
That's
what?
like so...
It was just what? I mean, like...
There's so much information.
No, it was just like I broke up with her. I was
3 years later. You just give her a call. Hey, you want to get back together?
I mean, we
get
bumped into each other in Greenville, and kind of like set up plans. But then like she ghosted me, and I was like, all right, well I'm not gonna give up.
Probably deserve that.
I did 100%. She ghosted me like 3 times. I was like, all right, well still all right. Well, maybe after 3 I'll stop. But yeah, and then I think it was I did really horrible at XGames. And she was working at like Buffalo Wild Wings in Greenville. And so I was always on TV. But I think she was actually, she was at her friend's house watching. And she saw like how disappointed I was. And then her friend was like, you call him right now. And I was like, all right. And I think there's more to that story. She tells it really good, but I don't.
Do you guys still know that friend?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. But
That's a good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she ended up calling me, leaving a message, and then we kind of got back connected, and then we started hanging out again, and then dating. So then that was round 2 is when we got back together. And yeah, and then I kind of like at that point felt like I was like, okay, this girl's special. Like I couldn't get off of my mind. I was thinking about her all through the breakup and stuff, but yeah, and then asked her to marry me. We got married in Virginia, and then at the wedding we had like those same McAllister cookies, like as like a party favor.
That's nice.
So we ordered a bunch of them and told the whole story in there,
Yeah.
and so it was good. It was good.
That's awesome,
And
man.
here we are today, 3 kids.
Does she ride?
No.
No.
I only got her to ride like a couple times. And one time, so I used to have a private facility in Greenville. It was like an indoor spot. And I took her in there and I was like, all right, like I had her all padded up, elbow pads, knee pads, helmet, the whole deal. So I was like, okay,
You're like, this is going to be great.
well, I didn't know how it was going to go, but I was like, we're just going to try it. You know, she has to at least experience what I do. So I took her in there. I was just like, all right, well, you know, like just cruise around and stuff. And, you know, I asked her to just like kind of like knee slide on purpose. So she knew what it felt like. So if she did crash, at least she'd had that reference of like putting your elbow out or putting your knee out. And then there was like a 16-foot tall ramp. So 8 feet of straight up and down vert and then 8 feet of transition.
I'm immediately like sweating and like getting nervous thinking.
So I don't even know why I asked her to do this, but it was just funny. But I was like, why don't we just hang off the top of that and then just drop and then put our knees and elbows out and slide down? And I was like, sounds fun. And she was like, no. And I was like, watch, I'll do it. And prior to this, I had never done it. So I was like, literally, I was like, I don't even know if this is going to work, but I guess I should probably do this first. So I went ahead and hung there and then let go and then slid. And it was actually like a lot of fun because like when you're on your elbows and you're sliding
on
on
your pads.
Yeah. And you're just sliding because it's all like really slick surface. So you're just like, shoo. So I was like, see? So she got up there and she was kind of hanging. She goes, no. And I was like, oh my God, you're such a pussy. And that I found out right then and there, that word was like a trigger word. And she looked at me, got out there, hung, let go, did the whole thing. It was like zero hesitation. And I was like, yo, good information right there.
That's maybe the competitiveness from your son comes from her.
It could be.
It's like,
could be. But that was like a moment I was like, dang, okay. Like
my
careful with that one.
nephew, he goes, when he was a little bit younger, he goes, hey, say something really mean to me. When he wants to
smack himself.
Yeah,
and
he
get all
was like,
amped.
say something really mean to me.
Oh, man.
So they can get worked up and do whatever the thing is that he need to do.
At least he knows, right?
Yeah. So your middle one is the only one that's into riding then.
Yeah, right now he seems like he's got the most passion for it. So yeah.
How's that?
It's fun, man. It's cool. We have a nice little setup in the yard, so he can go back there and ride. And it's all like legit pro size stuff. So like, you know, being 10, it's all really big ramps. Like it's kind of intimidating, but he's actually doing really well with it. And so when we go anyplace else, like I feel like it helps him because he's not intimidated by smaller stuff that maybe a kid just getting it would be, because he's riding like the smallest ramp he rides is 6 foot tall. You know, he's all of like 4 something, you know, so it's already overhead. And then the tallest one he like drops into is like 13 foot tall. So
That's
like
crazy.
Yeah. And he's handling it good. He's like, you know, switches between bike and scooter. And this summer we went up to a camp that I work with called Camp Woodward, and he like learned how to backflip his scooter, backflip his bike. I mean, he was hyped. I was hyped. I was like, this is crazy, dude. So yeah, like he seems really into it. And it's fun. Like, you know, and it's an interesting dynamic, you know, like, and you learn these things real fast as a parent. Like, and I'm sure you guys have been in a situation where like you tell your kid something like don't do that. And they're like, okay. And they do it. Don't do that. Don't do that. You get some outside force, outside dad, outside mom, and be like, don't do that. And they're like, oh my God, I won't ever do it again. It's like, you need that outside source. So for me, right, I'm literally the coach of the USA team, right? So good source of information.
You don't know shit, Dad.
Exactly. Not in those words, but like, you know, like, it's just like, okay, gosh. And then, so we went up to Woodward, that camp, and I was trying to teach him. And then literally it was just like the coach of Team GB, like Great Britain, is up there. And so I get a video of from him. He's like, oh, what's up? And I was like, what's this? And it's Jameson backflipping. And he basically taught my kid how to backflip, how to get around. And I was like, all right, man.
You
like
flexing on me, dude?
I was like, this is super weird. But like, honestly, at that point I was like,
It's like you're hurt, but also proud at the same time.
I was. And like, and you know, like part of me was just like, dang, you should have been there doing that. But I was like, but if he wasn't in this like right mind to listen to me, I'm okay with him getting advice from another excellent coach. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's the
it's like, I mean,
reason
there
why-
could be way worse situations to be
we
in.
were
Like,
talking about earlier. It's a reason why like it's important to have like positive male role models.
Yeah.
Not just your dad, but like a collective
Yeah.
of positive
I
male
mean,
role
it takes
models.
a village, right?
It takes
Like,
a village, especially with boys. Yeah.
my dad, sorry to change the subject, but my dad used to tell the story of like when he was a kid, you know, you were afraid to mess up out in public because if you
Anybody.
dude, like
Anyone.
he goes, so and so, like little Johnny's dad, like your friend's dad would come up and smack you in the back of the head, and then he would sit there and wait till your dad came and be like, he was messing up, and you'd be like, thanks so much, and then, you know, like thank you for hitting my kid in the back of the head. Now I'm gonna take him home and hit him in the back of the head too, and like, but it was just like, you know, you were just scared to get caught by any because, you know, like
Adults across the board.
the board were like, don't do that, like don't act like that,
Yeah.
you know, and it was just like
My
all right.
mom, this is the funniest story. Same thing. My mom was riding in the backseat of her parents' car.
Station wagon, so the flip.
Oh
seats
yeah, the
back
backwards,
there.
yeah, those are sick.
And she flicked some guy off. And this had to have been,
She said she was like 8 or 9, maybe.
I mean, she's what, 62 now?
Yeah, so this
This is a long
60s,
time
late
ago.
60s.
You know? The dude followed them home.
Mm.
And they got out. My grandfather was like, what's up? He's like, your daughter flicked me off, gave me the bird. So he yelled at her, and then her parents yelled at her right there.
Just got it from all angles.
Got it from all angles.
And
now-
she was
I mean,
probably
now-
sweating, like,
Sweat.
because she's looking at this dude the whole time.
And
Like,
he's just like, I'm coming to your house.
Yeah, dude, like he's following us. He's following
But
us.
now if somebody that happened, I mean, me personally, I'd be like, "Phew." But
Yeah.
you know, most people would be like, I can't believe you'd follow me. What are you, a crazy
Yeah,
psychopath?
it'd be turning them like, you
It'd be
can't follow
turning
me.
them.
What are you?
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that needs to go back to that. Go back to collective parenting.
Collective ass whooping.
And
Yeah.
it's still there to a degree, but
Yeah.
it's just like I just feel like it's, you know, I don't know. People are just like scared in general, just a little bit scared.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
it's
that's
just,
like what you get in these communities, right? Like, you know, BMX community or something, a soccer community or a BJJ community. You start finding these like-minded individuals, and then, you know, you realize like, oh, wow, we are all doing this collectively together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, like that information when it comes from like another adult, it just comes with power, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, same thing with marriage. Sometimes my wife, you know, I told her something 1,000 times, and just one time from someone else, be like, I said that. I said that.
You can't coach your wife.
No, I'm not. I am not the coach in that situation at all.
So on Kids, how did, you know, you coming from this like wild BMX party world for a little while, and then living that lifestyle, getting married, then all of a sudden becoming a father, what shifted in your brain, or how did that change your life?
To be honest, I kind of felt that shift even before I had kids. I felt like I wanted to like start going down that road.
Like having a family.
Yeah, like I can't explain it. I just had like this like, you know, like visions and ideas of like, oh, like that's something I'd want, you know. So I feel like the shift for me kind of happened naturally, which, you know, the second I kind of felt that or identified that, it was like I could feel myself kind of going that way, you know. So, you know, with my wife, you know, I knew she wanted to have kids when we were dating. That was made very apparent. We had long talks about how many kids and things like that. But yeah, it was just like, I don't know. I think every generation learns from what they went through, right? So
Yeah, of
like,
course.
so for me, it's like, you know, I learned very quick how to like take care of myself just from being on the road and stuff, you know. And so, but I also saw a lot of things on the road that I didn't like, you know, like in BMX race, we call them like track dads, where they're literally like screaming at their dads or screaming at their kids, like, go faster. Why didn't you win?
I hate it.
And I just was always like, man, like I can't handle that. For one, like, it's not fun for your kid, like, to have you screaming at them. They're probably already disappointed.
And you see that in every sport, right? Soccer, football.
Yeah, it's there. And it's
yeah.
like, if your kid cares about what they're doing, if they're passionate about it, they're already bummed out, you know? So like, who am I to be like, let me just rub that in a little bit further. So seeing that kind of stuff, like I instantly took it to heart. It was just like, well, I'm never going to be like that.
Yeah.
You know? So like, that's what I said early on is like, I'm almost like the opposite. Like for a while I felt like I didn't want to be anything close to that or having people think that I was that. So I was like way back in the cut, like at a soccer game, like the second row back, you know, like, but like now it's like, I've kind of figured out that balance of like, all right, like I want to cheer them on. I want to be able to like give tips and stuff in a positive way. But for a long time, I was like so anti that I was just like, okay, I'm going to be way back. You know?
You can't be way back.
Yeah, and so like now it's like, you know, like soccer games and stuff like that, like cheering them on, you know, like oh, you know, drop back, you know, whatever it is, but like.
But that's the difference because you actually know. Here's my whole point. My problem with it is the guys that do that, whether it be wrestling, soccer, doesn't matter what the sport. Can you do it? Do you even know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Or are you just the big guy, the guy on the sidelines yelling at your kid with a beer belly?
Armchair quarterback.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, if you don't know what you're talking about or can't do it, then just maybe keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. And like we had a soccer game where our coach didn't show up and it was like a miscommunication thing. So like myself and 2 other dads, like, well, let's just figure it out. And so I knew certain things. I was just like, be aggressive, like, you know, stay on the ball, you know, like just put pressure on them and they'll have to make a mistake. So that was my line. I just kept saying that one thing because I was like, I'm not going to tell you how to do certain things I don't know how to do. I'm going to stay in my lane, you know, like I wanted to make sure that if I'm offering advice, it's like good advice, you know? So I just kept saying the same thing over and over, but I was like, well, there's warrant to it, you know? And when they were doing it, the other team was making mistakes, but yeah, I agree. It's just like, I don't know. Like I learned too, like, I don't want to be like the guy that's like try to fake my way through some kind of conversation, whatever, because I feel like at some point that's always going to come back on you.
Right.
And then someone either going to intentionally or unintentionally call bullshit on you. And I don't want to be stuck in that situation and be like, oh, dude, I was actually full of shit. I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
well, and not just like, so I have one of my businesses is a coaching business. And we talk about that with men. It's like, what kind of father do you want to be? Do you want to be the one that sets the example or the one that's just yelling at your kid like to do better? When he looks at you, you're overweight, you're not doing better. You're sitting on your ass. You know, he's the one out there. Like, maybe get in shape and then get on the field with him and help him and then do it together.
Kind of lead by example.
Lead by example. Yeah. Because I think across the board, kids learn from what they see a lot more than what they hear. Yeah. You know?
And I could see that if that person had like, you know, experience from the past, like if it was just knowledge, you know, like then yeah, like that's experience ways, you know, there's weight to that. But like, I agree. Like, you know, sometimes I worry that I'm not doing enough, you know, for my kids and stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, what am I doing that I'm not actually directly teaching them? Because they're always watching.
Of course.
So it's like, okay, well, I'm working hard and I'm out there just grinding away on something, whether it's a project in the yard or riding or, you know, filming or whatever it is. Like, and they're watching that. Well, then I'm doing something by example, you know? And to me, I'm like, okay, that's like something that they're learning on their own. And whether they acknowledge that or whether they like it or whether they soak that in, it's going to be kind of up to them. But like, at least I'm out there kind of showing them what I let them do.
Yeah, because when they get older, they'll be like, my dad was never like that.
Yeah. Or like be able to say like, oh, my dad worked really hard. I remember him like staying up super late or whatever, you know, like whatever that might be. But like, yeah, I tend to agree with that, you know, leading by example. You know, if you have a certain knowledge or skill set or whatever, like, you know, giving that out there to people, you know, like, I used to work at this place called Jiffy Market, and there was an older guy that owned it, and he would just sit me down and tell me stories and stuff. And I always thought that was the coolest thing because he would tell me all these things about what he did and mistakes he made. And I was always like, man. And I remember taking it to heart because I was like, I don't want to make those same mistakes. And you're telling me the mistakes you made and why. So I'm going to try to learn from this because you're giving me literally a gift here, like a gift of knowledge, a gift of pain or whatever you had to go through, monetary, physically, whatever it was. Like, you're telling me this information. I was like, I want to soak this up and learn, you know? And he gave me some really great advice when I was just starting to get like, you know, offers for riding professionally and stuff like that. Like, cause I was in the back stressing out. I had like 3 different bike deal sponsorship possibilities. I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And he was like, Ryan, this seems like a huge mountain right now. Seems like you're never going to get over it. And I was like, yeah, it's so crazy. I don't want to make the wrong choice. He's like, I get it. He's like, you're going to make this choice. You're going to get through it and you're going to look back and this is going to be the teeniest little bump on the road. He's like, but there's going to be more mountains ahead of you. Like then each one is going to seem like you can't get over it.
But you will.
But you will. And then you'll look back and be like, oh, that wasn't that big a deal. And I was like, dang, okay. So like, it just helped me put it in perspective, you know, because from his like point of view, I was just like, you know, struggling to figure out which company I should make $500 a month from. And he was just like, yeah, trust me, you got bigger mountains coming out.
Well, I think, we need more, you know, in our society and in what we have going on in the world now, I think we need a lot more of that more than ever, you know?
Yeah.
Like that, like you said earlier, it takes a whole village.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the reason why we work with men to get them to be set the example again. Because I think, collectively, men in the U.S. have kind of just, gone down a sadder path. So what's your favorite part of being a dad?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Favorite part of being a dad?
And you're an all-boy family.
All boys, man. So my wife really wanted a girl, and it's just there's been prior to me having all my kids, there was like literally only one girl born in our family for like generations. So I told my wife early on, I was like, it's not in the cards.
It's probably not going to happen.
Probably not in the cards, but yeah. Favorite part about being a dad, I love seeing them grow up, love seeing them kind of like mature and kind of form their own personalities. That's probably one of my favorite things. But for me too, like just learning along the way as well, because I've found parenthood is like so many different situations. Like, like we own a business, the gym, right?
Yeah.
And there's been so many times where my wife has come home and was like, oh my gosh, like, dealing with personnel, this and that, like explains the whole situation. I'm like, this sounds like having like a preschooler, like, so here's how you treat it. You got to go in there like that. And like our kids went to like a preschool where it was like a co-op, and then you would have to go to meetings every month, and they would kind of like give you tips on parenting or like different tools and stuff like that. And it was very helpful. But like now it's like, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, so when you have to reprimand someone, like you, what was the saying? Like you basically like give them kindness first.
Yes.
Connection before correction is what the term was.
Was it a compliment sandwich?
Yeah.
So you do a good thing on the front end and the back end,
and then the
middle,
meat of it.
The middle is the
but
the
it was like
stuff,
they put it like connection before correction, because with our oldest, like he would like shut down if we got too serious with him. So he'd be like, hey man, like I could see you're trying, I love it, but here's the deal, and then you kind of lay it out for him. So it was just like, oh well, you're dealing with employees, it's like, you messed up. Hey, you've been doing a really great job here, So it's just like the stuff that parenthood has taught me just through like everyday life of just negotiating deals, talking with people, like working your way through your own deal when you mess up, it's just like, that's been really interesting for me. And that's like kind of a selfish answer, but like, I just enjoy seeing my kids like kind of grow. And learn, and just becoming their own little human beings, like, because they're all like, I don't know about yours, but like mine are so different.
All of them.
Yeah,
they're their own individual. Yeah, people.
So different. So like it's really truly like,
even with the baby, like we look at him and like he's not like me. He's not like he's just his own thing.
Yeah, I joke our kids are night, day, and then the youngest is noon. It's like, so it's just like boom, it's like right in the middle. Like they're all just like different combinations. So yeah.
Greatest thing you've had to overcome in your whole career?
Oh, man. Greatest thing I've had to overcome.
Or life. It doesn't have to necessarily be your career.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Because there's so many different facets of it, like I would say like, maybe like confidence, the confidence in knowing who you are. So our sport is called BMX Freestyle, which means that you can have it any style you want. Doesn't mean that people might like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, but like you're allowed to do whatever you want. Like there's no rules to it. So even with that being said, like early on, like I got labeled like jumper, bar spin kid. I did like tons of bar spins, and people just like laid on me about that. But I loved them. I seriously loved doing them. And so I got made fun of. I got scored down a bunch. It bummed me out to the point where a couple times I ended up in tears, because I was like, I'm never going to get anywhere, even though I'm doing what I love and I'm literally following.
So where were you seeing these comments or these messages?
Oh, I mean magazines, for like in the magazines for a while, they did like this, pros and cons. So they would list like a number of pros, and they would give that list out to other pros, and they would say something nice, but obviously the trash talking side of it, they would just lay in
print.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I feel like that's like worse than social media almost.
Yeah,
that shit's in there forever.
Yeah, but I mean, even social media too. Like even this day, like you'll get comments that people would be like, "You're trash, you're garbage, whatever," and I'm like, all right. So through that whole process of like, getting like hit with labels or like ideas of who you are or whatever like that, like being able to be just really confident in who I am and what I'm doing out there has allowed me to just like really flourish. And like, I mean that in the most positive way, but like, you know, like social media comments, like I've had people literally just be like say the worst stuff to me. And I've gone back, and this is like my favorite thing to do. You go back and you go, hey man, hope you're doing good. It seemed like you were kind of being like a little bit negative there. You know, I wish we could maybe ride and hang out one time, because I feel like you might get a better idea who I am as a person. But like, hey man, like I hope you're doing good, and just continue on and have a great day, man. You know, sometimes even put a little heart by it, you know. but I'm like, this is what that person needs.
Yeah,
you know,
because you're a miserable person to
whatever
write.
it was, and like, dude, sometimes they're just drunk. Sometimes they're literally just like, oh, Nyquist, and I'm like, all right. And dude, every single time I get a response back, it was like, dude, you're awesome. Dude, I'm sorry. Honestly, I'm a huge fan. And I'm like, dude, it just does a 180 like that.
Of course they're a fan, because they're commenting on your stuff.
Well, but yeah. So, but I'm like, but it's just like, that's like my favorite thing to do.
What does Trent Shelton call them? They're
confused
supporter.
Yeah.
Confused supporter.
Yeah. But it's just like, you know, taking like, and there's been other situations like where a guy was literally talking so much trash to so many other riders too. And I went out of my way, and he wasn't even going at me, but I was just like, went out of my way to basically tell him, like, I saw you comment on so-and-so's post. I saw you comment on this. I'm just letting you know, like, we read this stuff and you're not going about it the right way. Like, you seem like a great dude. I checked out your profile. You're a talented rider. Like, you know, but you need to kind of be a little bit more positive about this stuff. And we went back and forth, and he like, you know, the kids nowadays, they don't know how hard it was, blah, blah, and they're all entitled. It's like, that's another assumption, you know, like this rider is actually a really hard worker. I work with her on the daily. You know, it was just like stuff like that. And then, dude, eventually he went back and apologized to everybody.
There you go.
And he got unblocked. And now he's saying nothing but positive stuff on my stuff. And I'm just like, man, like that is the kind of stuff. So anyways,
being do one of these for that.
But like, it's just like that kind of being so sure in what I'm doing and being okay with reaching out and not taking it to the negative, you know, for me has been huge, because I can show up in any situation completely sure of what I've done in my career and who I am as a person and where I want to take my riding or career. And then I can show people that, and then in some ways help them if they're like lost or they think this is the right path to go down. Just be like, hey dude, like, what's up? Like, I have no problem like looking at someone like this, be like, what's up, dude? Like, tell me what's going on. And that's been the best thing ever, because that's like one of the greatest things I can do to help anybody is just be like, calm down, let's take a second.
Right.
What's going on?
Right. And you know what? And especially if you're going to put yourself out, if you're going to create, and she tells me this too, because I've gotten some hate over the years. Mm-hmm. She says, you know, basically, if you put yourself out there where you give people a platform to comment, or the fact that you're doing what you're doing has given them the ability to make a comment. Yeah. Essentially, you have to get to where you don't care. Yeah. Like, you don't care. Because, like, for instance,
do you think you're above it? Like, you think you're above somebody leaving you a negative comment?
So several years ago, my name got dragged through the mud, and it was whatever it is, you know. What gave me, I was like, wow. And I was really just trying to take care of people and do good. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wait a minute. So it doesn't really matter what I do. People are going to talk shit regardless. Yeah. Whether you do good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't matter. So why should I care? I'm just going to go do what I want to do and affect change and affect people and help people and go from there. Man, that was so liberating. Mm-hmm. The thought of just like moving forward and not caring. So I screenshot these like negative comments I get all the time because it's crazy, man. They're always paired next to a comment that's a positive comment. Yeah. So today on today's video that we launched this morning, there was 2 comments. And if you look at the time, what does the time on both comments say?
The same time.
Same exact time, right? Yeah. So one says, it's quotations, I'm a pussy and I didn't answer the question because I want to keep my YouTube channel, and that's what's wrong with the country today. Okay, so I got called a pussy today. Mm-hmm.
Because we said we didn't want to participate in overthrowing the government.
Yeah. But even that can be taken out of context because you don't have to listen to the whole video. Right. The second video is he goes, this couldn't have been said any better. Yeah. like complete stark contrast. And I love those things, and I like posting that because, especially with young people coming up in it, I'm like, listen, you're always going to have the negative, and you're always going to have the positive.
Yeah.
Just keep doing you.
Do me a favor one time when you feel up to it.
Yeah.
Like reach out to that person individually and just kill them with kindness.
Oh, I do.
Kill them with rationale, and just be like, I'm here to just chat with you, man.
Yeah.
Like,
So I've done this in the past, and
I sent that one dude that I was talking about. I sent
Yeah.
him voice messages, literally like my voice, because I was like, this is gonna be so much more personal if you hear it from my voice too.
and
Like
your tone and everything.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is
Yeah.
my mission now. I'm gonna flip this dude, and he's gonna and it worked. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So I do. I'm like, hey man, like that's totally your opinion. I understand. Like, listen, if you ever need anything, reach out, and I'd be more than happy to help. You know what I mean? Good luck to you.
Appreciate you watching the video.
Yeah, appreciate you watching the video.
Thanks for subscribing.
Yeah, thanks. And you know what? And people, I will notice them like, dude. And then if he comes back snarky, I've noticed other people are like, dude, he's being a nice guy. Like he's even, like he even
people
said,
have your back. Like,
you know, it's
yeah.
like, why are you being an asshole?
Yeah.
You know, and then they
Well,
go,
and some people
and
like
then-
that rise. Like,
and then some people that, you know, I've seen comments are like, you're right. I was, you know, I've actually had those people like, sorry, man, I was totally drunk last night.
yeah,
And I said that.
It happens,
You know
man.
what I mean?
It happens.
So my point being is why I like to share all that stuff. And it's awesome that you actually brought that up is because, you know, with younger people or even just people who's just now getting into saying be an entrepreneur or being on social media or starting a business and they're getting negative reviews or they get negative comments. That's a lot when you're first starting out.
Yeah. There's already a lot of doubt in your head.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
right.
And then it gets reinforced by someone be like, product sucks.
You're a piece of shit.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's kind of heavy,
Yeah.
you know? But it's nice to when you get past that and you're able to like deal with that and it doesn't affect your identity or how you sleep
Yeah.
at night. And it's a superpower.
It kind of is, man.
Yeah.
It
Like
really
learning
is.
how to crash.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How to crash.
Yeah, it's all good stuff.
So on that note, you're a coach for the USA team.
Mm-hmm.
How has that transition been?
It's been good. You know, another one where I saw the opportunity for basically like for freestyle to get in the Olympics, and I played a pretty big role in that whole thing too, because I just started making cold calls. You know, like basically I knew some of the people
You
that
get a
were.
clap. I think that's an applause.
Is that a clap? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Good job.
Appreciate it. But yeah, I just started calling people and like, you know, asking for resources because I was like, okay, for one, this is like a sport that I love. I've invested so much time and love into, and I wanted to see it
entire
flourish.
adult life.
Yeah, and I want to see it flourish. And like I looked at it as like an amazing opportunity, like very similar to when we got X Games. Like I was like, this could be a big thing for us. And so I want this for myself. I want this for like the next generation. You know, like I want to see it do good. And so I went and took it upon myself to like just start reaching out to people and be like, hey, there's, you know, talk that this is going to be in the Olympics. If you never need help, let me know. I'm here. Here's my contact information. I'm down to talk, whatever. And so like some people call right back and be like, okay, so what are you hearing? What are you thinking? Blah, blah, blah. And then other people were like, okay, we'll let you know. And then eventually did reach out and stuff. But I just knew it was something I want to be involved with. I didn't know how, but I was like, I want to be involved in this.
Yeah.
So from the cold calls to like going to these events and like basically meeting like the people that were in charge of our national governing body, which is USA Cycling, who is I'm now employed by. I started just like on my own, was like, okay, well, I want to be an athlete. That's my first choice. So I want to try to be on the Olympic team. So I knew that. So I knew that I probably couldn't coach other men athletes at the same time if I was competing. But the women athletes were like, you know, I was like, well, can I help you guys? Like, can I work with you guys? And so we went to the World Championships, and that was like our first kind of organized team gathering where we had like kind of a team, but it was just like we had like the governing body there with us to kind of observe. So I was like, all right, well, if the Olympic dream doesn't pan out for me, like I would kind of like to see if this is something I'd be interested in. So I started working with the women and was just like advising them on, you know, lines to the course, tricks, you know, whatever, and learning how they were as athletes and people. And then was seeing like definite results and improvements. And I was like, this is pretty cool. Like you actually like, I wasn't sure if I was going to be passionate about it, but like through those contests and stuff, I was like, this is awesome because you're getting that like instant gratification.
Yeah.
And with the women too, they were so receptive to being coached, which was a dream, you know, like, because I did have all this experience and years of just competing and knowledge. And I was like, okay, well, I can offer it, but you know, like you need to be able to hear it. Same we were talking about the kids.
Yeah.
It was just like the women were like, please tell me more. Like, what do you think? Let me try it. Okay, let me do it. Okay, that felt great. But it was just like really cool working with them. So I was like, okay, I could see this being something I could do. So I was still pursuing my stuff, but then working kind of like pro bono with them and seeing if it was something I wanted to go down. And then when my Olympic journey basically ended, I had like 2 bad results, like really bad results. It was just like, okay, points wise, I'm out. I was like, all right. And then USA Cycling reached out to me and was like, well, would you be interested in coaching the men as well? And I was like, yeah, I think so. And it was kind of weird because, you know, on the men's side, like, you know, being a competitor with them, I was like, how is this going to go? How's this transition? Like, because it literally was like from one contest, I was a rider on the deck with them and like looking at them and trying to figure out what they're going to do and how I could beat them, to the next one being like, tell me your run. Let me help you out. Like, what can I do? And that one was a much harder transition. So I did accept the job and started working with the men. I kind of really had to like be like gentle with them because I needed to like gain their trust and show them that I was valuable. And some people were like right off the bat, like, you know, I was able to prove to them that I knew what I was doing. I was going to be there to help them. There shouldn't be any mistrust or anything like that. Other ones took a while. Literally, I had one that didn't work with me or want to talk to me about anything like that up until we were at the Olympics. And then at the Olympics, I started earning his trust. And it was probably more one-on-one time, like available, but like literally it took all that time. And at the Olympics, we started really dialing in stuff. And like, it was great. Like, you know, the kid's named Justin Dowell, and like, he's very intelligent, very smart, like very analytical, which I am too. And so like, when we started planning out runs, he had techniques of how he figures out how much time he has left and stuff. And I was like, this is cool. Like a very scientific approach to it. But yeah, so
I always wondered that if there was like, if you guys, cause you know, like rock climbing, they actually like journal every little thing they do. I was wondering if like there's any sort of math and timing that you do with that sort of, actually, at least at the Olympic level.
Yeah. And so a lot of it it's really strange, but like you can plan a run and be like, that's probably going to be about 60. And you just kind of know, like, you know, from riding the course and stuff, you're like, I think that's going to be about it. And I can't even tell you why, but you just had this like kind of feeling, and just then you might do it, and like you still kind of plan and be like, all right, well, if it ends up, I get here and I look up and the clock's at like 45 seconds and I got another 15 to go, I need to have, you know, like another plan. So then you might add some stuff, but like most times, like you're within like 5 seconds of what you need to be, which is really cool. Like it's a cool thing. But yeah, we go through it. We usually sit down, plan runs, talk about different tricks, options. You know, during practice, I'm watching them and be like, hey, like you should try, like, you know, just suggest stuff, you know? So yeah, it's been like a really cool experience, a really wild experience. I definitely feel like the dad, you know, like, you know, you're taking care of these kids. And so, yeah, it's a role I'm familiar with. Yeah. But it is like, it's been really interesting because it's been like fatherhood. It's very like not selfish, you know, like, and it was like leading up to the Olympics, I hardly rode my bike at all because it was just like, I was putting everything I had into these athletes to try to get them to reach their goals. And so I kind of lost, it was really weird. I got home and I was like, okay, what do I do now? Like, I don't have athletes over at the house every single day. We're not like riding and planning sessions for them. Like I kind of had to like figure out like what it was that I like to do again, because I just gave everything I had to them. Yeah. You know, so like, which has been fun because now it's like, oh, like, you know, that competition I went to, I got second. It was like the first time I had really competed in a while where I got to focus on me and I didn't have to worry about like planning runs with anyone else. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is really cool. Who
won that competition?
One of my athletes. Yeah. And then I beat a couple of the other ones that I'm like, that are coming up like slowly. So it was like good little piece of information to remind them with every once in a while. In the future, they might start getting chimed up.
Coach still can beat that ass.
Yeah, dude, you be careful. I'll just hop out there. I'll take your spot, bro.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So what's next?
Our Olympic process will probably start up again end of 22.
Okay.
So we're gonna probably have a bunch of events moving into that. I guess probably November-ish is when I'm guessing it'll probably start. So we'll have like a few international events, probably some events in the States as well.
So moving forward, and for Ryan Nyquist, that's really your focus.
That's part of it.
That's
I'm still a professional rider. I still.
Who are you riding for?
Haro bikes, CTI knee braces, so they hook it up. Yeah. Def gloves, Vans shoes, hooks up the shoes. Was working with this company Insta360, which is like a camera company.
Yeah.
So I've been using their stuff for a while.
Yeah, I've been seeing you. You've been posting that on your Instagram.
Yeah, so they get those 360 cameras are incredible.
Yeah, if you want some cool videos, go check out his Instagram.
Yeah, it's been fun. So, and then Bobcat, the tractor company, the equipment company. So they sponsored me. Yeah, they gave me like a compact tractor. It's awesome.
Well, how did that get connected?
So another thing where it's just like being nice, there was a lady that was kind of handling the marketing for them, and she had done stuff in BMX before, and we always got along great. I never really actually worked with her on stuff, but it was just like we always just like laughed and joked, and it was just fun. She's just a fun lady, and it was just always like good chemistry. I was like, all right, sweet. And then she started doing this stuff, and she asked me to like kind of hop on a couple of phone calls to talk about. They wanted to work with like the women, like the Olympic women. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. And they're like, well, we know you coach them. Can we talk it through? I was like, absolutely. So we started talking about the stuff and what we could do that wouldn't like kind of put them in jeopardy of getting hurt. They wanted to kind of film them riding and stuff, and I gave them ideas and had a couple of phone calls, and then it just dropped off. And I was like, all right, that happens sometimes, right? Yeah. Projects just fade out. A couple months later, I got another phone call, and they're like, hey. I was like, oh, what's going on? How's everything going? Like, how's the project going? They're like, oh, well, we kind of had to take a pause, and we kind of reconfigured things, and we're wondering if we could just work with you. And I was like, oh, well, yeah. And they're like, but we still want to work with the women too. So could we continue talking about that project? And then they ended up not just doing a single project with women, but they signed them for a 1-year deal. So Hannah Roberts, who's one of the athletes, she lives up in Jacksonville, and then Paris Benegas, who lives in Wilmington now, they both got hooked up with like riding lawnmowers, 0-turn lawnmowers and stuff. And so it was just like this really cool thing. And so we're basically like influencers, and we got a lot of cool projects coming down the line. Oh, it's amazing. Like a lot of cool projects coming up. They're just really interested. I mean, they're, equipment of moving dirt and like just doing cool stuff with that. But like they're known for just construction. So they're like, well, we want to get outside of that and show what else our equipment can do, because everybody knows that we can pick up cement and move a bunch of dirt and stuff, but they're like, what else is this equipment used for? So BMX was one of them, and they got linked in.
So that's how you guys a lot of times build tracks.
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like skid steers or like, front end loaders or, anything like that. So it's just like, so I was like, yeah, I can do that. So they gave me like a compact tractor and have the thing parked at the house. Get in there every once in a while, drive around in it. Yeah, it's really cool. I haven't really had a chance.
Boys in there?
No, they're not allowed to ride in the tractor. Bobcat is really not okay with that. So yeah, but like I haven't had a chance to really do a ton with it just because I've been traveling. But like we had these like little like electric bikes for the kids. They're called like Stasic, and I wish they had the stuff when I was a kid. They're incredible. It's like a drill battery. You click it in there, and they're just like all torque, low end, just like they just go nuts.
I think about some of the stuff like skateboards and electric bikes and stuff. If we would have had that in the 90s, I'd probably be dead, man. Because I was crazy.
Could have been.
I still have gravel in my knee from both knees from back in the day.
Yeah,
I was not a professional crasher. I crashed like shit. Yeah, every single time.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to the off season when I can kind of get that thing out and start digging some holes in the yard.
So tell Haro that you had an interview with a guy, poor little kid, got his bike stolen.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Broke my heart.
Yeah.
I can still see that bike.
What color was it?
All silver. All chrome.
Oh,
it was a whole chrome. It was probably one of the ones that was like a theme bike. Mm-hmm. It was just like all done, man. I can still see it. It's crazy. Yeah. Broke my heart.
Dang.
Because I was out there putting them together myself.
Yeah.
Like I would go out and get like parts from random bikes and I had this little bike toolkit that my mom got me, and I was like, because we would be jumping and like bending rims, and I was like fixing the spokes and all
you were
kinds
into
of stuff.
it, man.
Oh, I was into it. Yeah. I was into it, fixing the spokes and everything, because people's tires were all wobbly, and I was like, all right, I can fix this. So I had a little shed in the back of my house, and I put the tire in there and like lock it down.
Yeah.
And then I would be like trying to fix all the
impressive, man. Impressive. There's a lot of pros that don't know how to do that right now.
That was the 90s, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it now. And now I don't even have the patience for it. I'm like, just go fix this.
Just take a shot.
Just take this shot
Yeah.
and fix this. So that's awesome, man. So
Well, tell about your YouTube channel though, because we didn't even get to talk about that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, so so I had a channel a while back, and I was doing some vlogging and stuff, and was trying to get the hang of it, and it was just like I kind of just fell off. You know, I was at the time I was really just focused on riding, and I was like, man, this is taking a lot of time away from the bike, and I was like, I'm over it.
It's a full-time job.
It is. It's a lot of work, and so I got challenged by another YouTuber in a game of bike. So you know, like in basketball, you play horse, game of bike, where you do a trick, they try to do it, you get letters. And he challenged me to a game of bike, and it's like called this like a no-hander edition, suicide no-hander edition.
Okay.
And so you can only do suicide no-handers, but any kind of variation of it. And the kid's a younger kid, and brother of like a really talented rider, Scotty Cramner. And but they have like a pretty successful YouTube channel. It's like 1.7 million followers or subscribers. And I was like, all right, so you know, and I was like, we should, you know, really try to hype this thing up. And so we've been talking a lot of trash back and forth. And then I was like, you know, like I've been thinking about doing the YouTube thing again. I was like, this would be a pretty good opportunity just to like hop in here and start making videos, you know, creating content that is just like fun, you know, like playful trash talking, but just funny, you know?
Yeah.
So I've been really going in on that, and just like, so anyways, we're going to Cary, North Carolina, November 7th, and we're having this game of bike, and we're going to just go at it. And I'm thinking I'm going to come out ahead, although he's a really good rider too. So it's like, I gotta put the effort into it and the research. But these videos I've been making, like, I'm really enjoying the process. Just because.
And you were just on Mr. Beast, weren't you?
I was.
See that?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you have the video live? Or your channel live when that happened?
No, I didn't, because
man.
they're such a high production, like they're
man.
another level of filming. Like it's pretty much Hollywood.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's like awe inspiring. But yeah, there's no filming. Like there's nothing. Like everything's super hush hush there. It's like
no. I mean, but like to have your channel up when that video launched.
Oh, so no, I didn't.
See,
so I mean, it was around, but it wasn't active. And so like when I was over there, I took my first shot at filming my first video, which is like, it's up on the channel, and it's basically just like, it was just me riding in the skate park at Greenville, which is called JC Park.
Yeah.
And I just filmed myself and was just like, I'm just going to see what I can do with this. And I just made like a little 2-minute long video. Took forever to edit. You know, I was just like trying to make it entertaining. And I was like, okay, I think I could do this. I find enjoyment in it, but I just need to like figure out like the work rhythm. Like, you know, like what's the workload? How can I do this? When would I have time to edit and all that stuff? So getting into that, and then getting set up with like, you know, like using Premiere, and you know, like I do a lot of stuff on apps on my phone too, so figuring out how to transfer all this stuff over back and forth, it's more logistics.
That's our whole world, man.
Get one of your teenagers or one of your boys to do it for you, and they'll be better than you.
Is that your channel?
That's the channel. So
we need to blow this thing up, man.
Yeah, so that one with like the kind of pinkish sunrise, that's the very first video I did recently, and it was just like basically just me out there riding, and I filmed all this myself. So I didn't have anybody else there, which...
Bro, this is great.
Yeah. So, but I should have had somebody there, because at 6:30 a.m. crashing like that sucks so bad.
This is all terrifying.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, this is my first crack. Let me see if I can make it entertaining, and just, you know, learning from what I'd seen on YouTube and stuff was just like, all right, like I feel like most people are going to really kind of gravitate towards like, you know, like the quick editing and stuff like that, and titles. But yeah, so it's been fun, and like I said, I'm learning the work rhythm of it all, and how to make, you know, time to shoot, and then how to make time to edit, and then how to edit, and when to release. And you know, this collaboration with Scotty Cramner's channel has been really, really good. Been seeing a lot of new subscribers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been fun.
You have it's funny, man. Looking at it, you have a very 90s style of video.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I don't even know enough to know that there is styles. But
because you don't know.
Yeah, no, like, this is just me, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I do find like, since I've been doing this, which isn't that long, it's probably been just like maybe a couple weeks. It's like kind of sparked this the creative juices are flowing, man. And I have all these ideas of stuff that I want to do. And then I mean, I kind of knew it, but I didn't until I really got into it. Is like all this footage that I'm gathering, you can use it on all the other platforms.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
getting content for Instagram.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
getting content for Facebook, and it's like all this stuff. It's like, you know, if my focus is YouTube, and then I have all this other stuff to be able to just feed into Instagram and stuff.
It goes into all the other social media, and then you can cut if you got this much, and you can cut it to like a TikTok thing, a reel, or a blog.
The
you can put it
TikTok
on your
thing,
website.
man, that's a tough one for me because it's just like that is a whole
the same
different
thing.
tool.
No,
well,
it's
it's the
not.
same thing, but the tools in order to
Don't even worry about it.
oh
Just
man,
post.
but see that's yeah, I
Just
know.
post.
I know.
Same thing.
He does IG Reels
Real-
first. 'Cause
yeah.
it's easier to use, and then he just loads them to TikTok.
Oh, okay.
And I don't share TikTok, but it's been growing.
Yeah.
It's been fun to get back on to do something. I get real bored with like business and growing things, and then once something becomes kind of successful, I'm like, it's not as fun. You know what I mean? But to go from 0 to over 1,000, to no views to like 5,000 views, you know, or likes or whatever. It's like, you know, so yeah, I would just put it in there, and I mean, you literally could take that right there and then cut it together, like make it vertical and put it on there.
Yeah, it's been really like I said, it's been like 2 weeks of really diving into this, but it's been fun, man. Like a lot of fun. And it's just like I said, the ideas of
You
things.
keep at it before you know it, you'll have another company and you'll be hiring an editor.
Maybe that'd be nice if I didn't have to edit and they could just make the videos look cool. That'd be awesome.
That's what happens, man.
Yeah,
That's how you grow it.
That's
and then,
the goal.
And then your like your scalability of creating content goes even up even more because now you're just filming and somebody else is handling it.
That's the goal.
And you're just like
that's the dream right there.
Cranking it out. Who's to say? So are you ever going to stop riding?
At some point, I probably will or have to. I don't know. That's the tough thing, man. So it's like now it's all these different facets, right? It's like, you know, doing it with my son, which is awesome, and seeing him progress and seeing him have a passion for it. You know, doing it for like the feeling, you know, like the therapy of it, you know, because, you know, no matter what, if I go out there and I have like a bad day, if I spend 45 minutes and I'm going hard and I'm just doing all the things, because I know there's certain things that I just love. I love the feeling of.
It's the same thing with like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. It's like
you just get done. You're like, whew, I feel better now.
And so I can go out there and blast a huge 540 on a quarter pipe, and that feeling will never get old. It will never get old to me. So it's like certain things I just know that if I go out there and do it, it's going to make me a better human being.
So do you think it's probably going to be like as you get older, and I mean older, like pushing into like 60s, do you think that you won't ever, it'll just kind of ramp down?
I think as other things ramp up, so let's say if the coaching gigs gets way more intensive or whatever, or like, you know, if the YouTube thing kicks off or whatever, like I could see my thing is like with anything I'm doing, I don't want ever to like cold turkey cut.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's when problems happen, right? Like, and you see it with a lot of athletes too, like, you know, you cut something out of your life, it leaves a void, and you have to have that time to kind of fill it.
And they start self-sabotaging. And
weird you know, like whatever that is,
yeah.
and it's just like, and I've seen it happen, and I don't want that to happen. So even with the coaching thing, like that gradual, like doing it with the women first, and seeing if it was something I'm passionate about, and then like slowly moving into like the coaching realm while still being an athlete. And so now it's like, you know, I'm still an athlete. I'm throwing this in the mix, the YouTube stuff, but the coaching thing is like, I'm very passionate about it. So like that gradual rise of coaching and then the gradual decline of riding, like that's how I want all my stuff to go. You know, if
Just
I can, if I can make it that way, you know, if I can design my career to go that way, then like, so if this is, you know, YouTube is something that I want to see grow into something huge. And if it gets there, then I want that to be a slow growth and learn my way about it and not have something where it's just like, I think this is going to be it. I'm going to cut everything out, put all this. It's just like, man, like that to me, because I know I would miss certain aspects of coaching. Like I'd see things and want to be out there, and it would create a void. And so, you know, I have a lot of hats on, and I kind of like it that way. But eventually, like, I want to kind of slow down and do like maybe minimal things, but have like, you know, like that solid base of what I want to be and
bigger impacts.
Yeah, something. I don't know. It's just, you know, but I feel like right now, like I'm in a period of my life where it's like I'm trying to figure out what that is. You know, like the YouTube stuff is super fun because I can just act the fool and let my personality go, and I'm having a great time with it. The coaching thing is super rewarding because I'm literally giving knowledge of years and years and years of competing and putting myself in pressure situations to these athletes and trying to give them the knowledge that I got from my employer at Jiffy Market, of all those things I had to go through and trying to share them with them, and and just with my kids and seeing them grow up and follow their passions. And I don't know, it's been there's a lot going on, but it's really, really exciting.
So what would you say to I guess any young man, young woman that's pushing for greatness or pushing to get into this kind of sport?
The first thing is I would tell you to wear your safety gear. Honestly, man.
I did not expect that.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So a lot of people don't wear pads and they get hurt. And what do they want to do?
Oh, we didn't wear pads.
No, I
know.
I
didn't wear a helmet when I was doing all this stuff.
If you saw some of these videos, if I showed you a video, it was like, guess what? That person has absolutely no pads on besides their helmet. You'd be like, are you kidding me? Like flying through the air. It's crazy, right? So if you get hurt, the only thing you want to do is get back on the bike. That's the only thing you want to do. So why not wear the stuff that allows you to stay on the bike? That's my thing, right?
This is Coach Nyquist.
Yeah,
this is not 17-year-old Nyquist.
No. Although I wore all my pads throughout throughout my whole career. I've been padded up head to toe. It just always made sense to me.
Yeah.
But so
wear your pads.
Wear
kids.
your pads every time you get on the bike. It's just do it because it allows you to stay on your bike and have more fun. And then I think outside of that,
and to be 100% real, it could save your life.
Oh yeah. And we've seen that happen with people, which is, we've seen both sides of it. They're wearing a helmet, have a bad crash, and they're okay, and then the other side where they're not, and then it's a life changing event. So, 100% helmet. If anything, wear a helmet. But then, the next piece of advice would be just be authentic. Like, throughout the years, we've seen people just emulate other styles of riding, other fashions, just be authentic. Like, sometimes it is totally okay to be weird. In our sport, it's called freestyle. So like, take advantage of it. It's called freestyle. Like it's very clicky and it's very weird, but like if you stay the path and do what's true to you and what you actually love, like, man, you'll go far. And that's the thing too, is like,
what about if they want to get better? Like, how do you get better in a sport like that?
You get better. Like, I mean, you just, better in what sense? Like riding or results?
But I guess both.
So results, you got to be dedicated, man. Like to break into like the elite level class now, you have to be like dedicated, and whether that's
goes
like
back to that being obsessed.
Thing. You really do. Like you got to live, breathe, eat it, just like sleep it, like everything. You got to be it, So I would say just like commit yourself to it. But also, I mean, let those creative juices flow, man. Like just like think of things outside the box, try things. Don't be afraid to try things. Like, so many riders that even now, like some of the top pros, I'm like, you guys, you should try this.
Yeah.
And I get resistance. And I'm like, why would you even resist? So let's say you don't like that specific thing, but let's say that sparks an idea of something you do like.
Yeah.
You really are that hard headed, so you're gonna say no and just like potentially ruin like this amazing idea? I mean, or maybe nothing happened, but like, just try it. Be open minded.
Potential's there.
Oh my God. Like you never know what's gonna take you. Like I've learned tricks and literally I learned that trick and never did it again because there was another trick that came up that was way more interesting and I just did that. And it was just like, had I never learned this trick, I would have never done this one. And this one makes me happy. And it's just like, so I just say be open to it, try everything, like just see what your style is, because that's truly going to be a way to define your style of riding, is just trying stuff, and then, I don't know, just be nice. Don't be a dick.
Don't be an asshole.
Don't be a dick.
There's
it's like nobody likes
there.
those. Yeah. Like, I mean, I get if you have a personality, it's fun, like trash talking aside, because everybody seems to like trash talking, but just don't be a dick. Like, be nice.
Is there one
man.
of those in BMX?
Oh, there's one of those everywhere.
Yeah.
There's always one of those. Yeah. I mean, but
with jiu-jitsu, it's like Gordon Ryan. He's like the biggest. I mean, first of all, he's like the number one guy.
He's like, I am the best, and I will always be the best.
So, yeah.
And his whole Instagram's dedicated.
And everybody sucks. Their jiu-jitsu sucks.
Yeah.
But
see, there's levels to it, right? And degrees of it. So it's like, for our sport, like, I don't know how that would come off in our sport, because we haven't really had anybody like that, and I don't think it would be come off well unless you literally were backing it up every time, which is something like that guy might be.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So like,
that's why he can get away with.
Yeah, because they'll kick your ass if you call him out.
He's the best.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I love seeing people be themselves. Being comfortable in their skin, whether that's as a person, as a rider, whatever it is. I think that just that will take you the furthest in life.
And then don't take, and I'll add, because what his greatest thing he got over is don't give a shit about what people are saying. Just be nice.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
negative comments are going to come. People are going to talk shit.
Yeah, or if you even want to empower yourself, figure out why they feel that way.
Yeah.
Figure out why they're talking shit, and then do something to change that. You know, like if it's valid and they're talking shit on you, then learn from that and be a better person. You know, like. But
there you go.
Like everything's an opportunity. Yeah. Everything is an opportunity to better yourself, an opportunity to grow, whatever it is. But like, dude, if you look at something in the right way, in the right perspective, everything is an opportunity.
That's awesome. Well, that's it. We're going to get into this thing right now.
Our sponsors.
Our sponsors. And the number one sponsor is going to be Johnny Slick. So this is...
We'll move this out of the way. They're not a sponsor.
No. Although if Voss wants to throw some
Voss can be a
bills,
sponsor.
yeah, Voss can be a sponsor.
There you
go. So this is our all-organic grooming company that we started in 2018 and quickly has become quite the company. But our business partner and actual founder, he got out of the Marine Corps and he had nice hair and it was thinning from using like garbage products.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's like, well, I can make these. If it's organic, I can go out and get the stuff. And of course, it wasn't that easy.
Yeah, right. In the backyard, the pot, just mixing around.
That's basically, he was in the kitchen, burning everything. But yeah, man, he reached out to me and we finally linked up. But yeah, so now we do. So you'll dig this. This is the shave soap. Smell that, and then we'll get you some.
The logo's sick. That's super cool. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's the shave soap, and so you can actually use a brush or just use your fingers and use it and rub it on.
Yeah. That's cool.
Smoothest shave.
God, that smells good.
Oh, she kind of hooked you up. We already kind of knew.
Oh yeah.
So you like that smell?
That's a good smell. But what is this?
That's a competing smell. It's a different smell. But go ahead.
That's the beard oil.
That would be beard oil.
See, that's good too. That's like date night good.
Oof. No, I'd say this is date night.
That's
good.
okay. Well,
this
sorry.
Black Label.
Omega. Oh man, the flat black murdered out.
Yeah.
Whoa, hold on a minute. I gotta get deep in there. No, that is date night. That's date night.
Black Label is always date night.
Either one of these could be date night, but that's pretty serious.
That's like we're gonna make another kid, the fourth boy.
Like
so. No kidding. I don't know what we do with the essential oils and everything that we do for fragrances. Mm-hmm. We've had 12 pregnancies?
I think 15.
That women have said, I smelt this.
And then I got pregnant.
And then I got pregnant.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
So there you go. So
book that vasectomy.
Yeah.
Do you have a vasectomy? Are you done?
I do. No, I made sure of that. After the third boy, I was like, we're done.
We're done.
So the same scent?
So that's the same scent as the Omega. So we had this weird thing, man.
Okay.
We had this weird thing where we started to see that if you're over 30, you like these two scents.
Okay.
If you're under 30, you like Original and Alpha, which this is.
But it's everybody loves Original, regardless. I think.
No, I'm not saying. Yeah, you love it, but the thing is like out of those
tough, man.
Out of those two scents, like which one would you gravitate to?
Oh,
not necessarily a product.
Well, see, yeah, I mean, as a dad with, 3 young kids and stuff, like I don't get date nights very much, so I'd probably gravitate toward that on the daily smell because that's just more like, I think daily. Where these are definitely like, I feel like I'd be collared shirt, freshly shaven head, going out on a date. That's
so you actually shave your head?
Not like bald, but like I trim it up.
Oh, not with a razor.
No, I don't bake it. I did for a while. It feels so crazy, dude. You feel every breeze. Right now, I'd be feeling the AC. It's intense, dude. Have you ever bicked your head? No. Oh my god, you should try it once. It's gnarly.
Actually, that's not true. I did used to when I was in the Marine Corps. In the conventional Marine Corps, I used to bake the sides of my head.
Yeah,
and they go skin.
You feel everything, dude. Someone like breathes by you, like, whoa, what is that? Yeah, it's gnarly.
So typically we do. So you must be a young soul at heart. You get
something like that.
This is what the kids are wearing.
The kids, huh? Yeah, that's from me.
and then Slick Lips. But we'll get you some.
Dang.
So date night, really nice date night.
Okay, yeah.
Date night as well, and then every day.
And then the beard wash, smell that because that's like a tea tree.
This is completely separate. Yeah, so you just crack just like I think you have to.
That's
actually,
specifically to wash your beard.
I think it's sealed.
Oh, you gotta actually pop it open.
This gives you a little bit of tingle factor. You can put it on your balls.
It'll be real tingly.
Oh, it's got like
tea tree.
Is it peppermint in there or something?
Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
when you wash your nether regions with it, it gives
Is that right?
it gives a little spark.
I've had some like peppermint soap before, and it's like it has that cooling effect. Like,
yeah.
Dang, that's cool.
So that's obviously one of our main sponsors. That's what happens here in this building. Yeah, and then we have the coaching company, the Agogi, which is where a lot of what we kind of talked about was men kind of becoming better men. A lot of it's losing weight, so like becoming the best version of themselves again. So the guys that have kind of let themselves slide and then kind of going, you know what, I want to be, and this is what the common thing is, I want to be a better dad. I want to set the example for my kids.
Is that all like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
No,
it's all separate.
It's all like diet, exercise. We operate on a kind of a 4-pillar. So fitness, we find that when men are fit, we just they operate at a different frequency. And then discipline and routine. Like most people just don't have any sort of routine or discipline to stick with. You understand that because you're a professional athlete. You know that
I had a lot of that for a while.
Right.
A lot of that.
Right. So, and to get become great at anything or do anything well, whether it's parenting, being a husband, you have to have discipline in your routine. And then belief. The third one is belief. And a lot of people have limiting belief factors on what they can achieve. So like, maybe you want to, win the X Games. You want to get a gold medal at the X Games. Well, if you don't believe that you can,
yeah, you're done.
Exactly.
You lost the battle right there.
You already lost the battle. So that's our talk with a lot of men is like, whether it is make more money, whether it's have a great relationship or be a good father, if they truly don't believe that they can, they're done. So we have to like work through that. And then why do they believe those things? Why? How do we get those limiting belief factors? And then the fourth one is tribe, which is kind of coincides with the why. Like, why do everything that you do, And then one of my the best ones is core medical group, which is testosterone. So when you start feeling when you really start to age, Ryan, let me know. I'll hook you up with a doc. Get your blood tested.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm surprised you're not already on it if you're not.
No, I'm not.
No?
I don't take like a lot of supplements, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel, like I said, I feel pretty good. But then again, like maybe it's one of those things where you just like, you could become blind to it.
On your 50th birthday.
On the 50th? That's the one?
Yeah,
that's the next number? I'll wake up and just be like, I feel like less of a man.
I need it.
Honestly, it's probably because you've done so much. You keep staying healthy. It makes a big difference.
I keep moving, man.
And you have worn your helmet, so you haven't had a huge concussion. TBI.
No.
That's the biggest thing. That's what happened to me. Anyways, man, thanks so much for coming on. Guys,
man,
if
thank
you
you.
like this, listen, go follow all of Ryan's stuff. Go follow his YouTube channel. I tagged it in the show notes below. So go follow him there and on what else? Instagram,
Facebook, whatever. Like all the usual stuff. Like
just go find
yeah,
Ryan.
whatever you're on, search for me.
Yeah.
Click the button. I
You're
appreciate
just gonna
it.
watch him crash.
Yeah.
He's a professional.
I post those on there. I try to keep it real. I'll post the crash too.
That's
Nothing's
good.
all perfect,
Exactly. That's where the real magic happens. All right, guys. So screenshot this, tag us both. We'll share it. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.